What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Claru.
And this is Words of Radiance.
Oh my god, I hated that.
We're so demure, very mindful today as we start Book 2 of the Stormlight Archive, which is Book 10 of the Cosmere Archive, which is a series by Brandon Sandy, a good friend of mine.
Wow.
Yeah,
Why
Brandy
is
and
he
I.
on the show?
You know what, Brandy? You're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be.
I feel like there's a song about someone named Brandy. That was the song, wasn't it? Okay. Yeah, cool. Great. We're off to a great start.
Did you think I was just saying random words?
Yes, you say random shit all the time. It is not that weird. You can't laugh because it makes me cry. God damn. It wasn't even that funny.
It was hilarious. I just quoted the exact words to the song, and then you looked me dead in the eyes. Dead in the eyes. I went, I think there's a song about a girl named Brandy.
Yeah, I don't know it clearly.
Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a
see,
good wife you would be.
See, I don't know it. I
oh
don't
wow,
know it.
Right.
Now I've got some nice highlighter on my cheeks.
Do you need to go fix your makeup? Do we need to start the show over again?
I don't know.
Guys, take two. This is Words of Radiance, the prologue to chapter Interlude 4.
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
Welcome in, everybody. My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
This is the Nerdy.
The Wordy.
The book club. That's right. We have some things we got. Oh, what?
Did you not change the restream?
No, I did.
Oh, no!
What do you mean we're also live on Clarus's channel? Oh, yeah, we are.
There we are. Turn that shit off. Thank you, Blue, for letting us know. And welcome back to the Nerd Table.
Thank you, Blue.
Wait. We said the Nargs of Radiance, right? That's what we are now? We're the Nerds of Radiance?
I think we're the Nerds Radiant.
We're the Nerds Radiant. That's it.
Yeah. Mandy Storm Depressed, very funny. Thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant. Jonathan Colton, welcome to the Nerds Radiant.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Dalinar needs to reform them, and so you guys need to give us money. That's how Dalinar Colon will reform the Nerds Radiant, is by being funded by you.
He's actually a charity.
He's a 501c3. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, registered.
Yeah.
So if you do donate, it's a tax write-off or whatever if you're a corporation.
I kind of want to start a 501c3 called Colon's Colon, and it's a charity for colon cancer.
That would be great. That would be pretty good. That's a banger idea. 10 out of 10.
Thank you. All right. Well, this has been wild. Let's start the show. This podcast is brought to you by MissyMountainGaming.com.
Hell yeah.
MissyMountainGaming.com is a website. Website is what I watch anime on.
Yeah.
It's a website where you can buy the accoutrement necessary for you to play a TTRPG, such as the Cosmere RPG.
I thought it was the Stormlight.
Wow. Yeah, you have way more energy than I do this morning. I'm proud of you.
I do not.
Way to go. The Cosmere RPG, it's coming out next year, but if you want to play it, guess what? You're going to need stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to need dice. You're going to need dice towers. You're going to need dice vaults. You're going to need a DM screen. You're going to need
a notebook.
Miniatures.
Oh.
That's right. And if you want all those things, all of them, you can buy them in one place. MissyMountainGaming.com, and the best way to do that is to use our coupon code nerdynightly15.
Hell yeah.
Get 15% off your dang order. Support the show. Thank you, MissyMountainGaming.com, for everything that you do.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
One of the tough things about supporting the Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG is that I get emails from him every day now, and I can't open them because they're probably spoilers.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I whenever I see them, I just delete them because I'm like, it's not even worth like touching that at all.
But I got one that was like, we're adding a mini, and I was like, oh cool, what mini am I getting? And then I was like, wait, I probably shouldn't know that.
Yeah, that's probably a bad idea.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird trying to avoid spoilers for something that you are like actively supporting.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that you're like planning to make content for. Oh, Snowwolf over on Twitch. Thank you for 7 months in a row over on Le Twitch.
Is 8.5 hours on loop enough for that Dragon Age? You're mad, lad. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm excited for Dragon Age.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to actually finish Baldur's Gate. Goddamn.
Clarus, we are starting the second book of the Stormlight Archive.
We have, yes.
Yeah. How do you feel about it so far?
It's great. Love it. 10 out of 10, no notes. Thank you for coming to the show. We appreciate it.
We're going to have a great conversation. Guillermo Barros, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate that.
We have 10 new Nerds Radiant members, which may not be enough. I don't know. I don't know how big the Nerds Radiant is supposed to be.
When you gift 10 memberships to the Nerds Radiant, you are adding a member to the ranks of each of the 10 orders.
Oh,
so think about it that way.
Yeah, you're actually not allowed to do increments between 1 and 10. It is only 1 or it is only 10.
You can do whatever you want. We are grateful no matter what.
Thank you. And enjoy those audiobook reactions.
Also grateful to all the people who don't gift. Welcome to the show. It's free content for a reason. I don't know why people give us stuff either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't ask.
I like free shit.
Yeah. Yeah, what do nerdy spren look like? It's just a like really uncomfortable little guy. You know what I mean? It's a really, really like so socially awkward that he's physically uncomfortable little guy.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
What's a Clara spren look like? She's just hot.
It's just fire. I fucking don't know. Probably something that can't make up its mind.
And does not know 80s rock songs at all.
Apparently not. No, it's a spren. It's just like a little red dot that like just freezes in place for minutes at a time.
I was in the kitchen, I think it was yesterday, and I look over at the doorway to our kitchen, and Clarice had walked down the stairs and like walked halfway into the doorframe and then stopped and looked at her phone. And so I looked over and Clarice is just standing in the entryway of our house. Just stone still, just like this.
Yeah.
But like halfway in the doorframe. It was like the weirdest horror film where like the villain doesn't kill anybody because it can't like make up its mind to, but it keeps like trying to jump scare you in different places. It was wild.
I just appear places. It's because I'm working on a new cosplay right now, and there's a lot of thinking involved in it.
Yeah.
And I can't walk and think at the same time.
That, you know what, that's fair.
Depends on the day, actually.
The difference between you and I is that I will deliberately go sit somewhere and then start doing stuff.
No.
And you just stop exactly where the thought happens.
The thoughts come to me and I am beholden to them. I cannot like put them on pause and go sit down. I have to like embrace.
But like sometimes she will freeze like just on the stairs and I will just leave a room and she's just standing stock still, not doing anything. Just standing completely still, frozen on the staircase. It's truly something to behold. Linus, thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Can Prey please read us the deleted Words of Radiance interlude? Only takes like 2 minutes. Linus, I don't know.
I don't know. Can we?
We need Arzu to tell us.
We need a mod.
Johnny Coleman says, let's go.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for joining the nerds. And Bogdan Danbog. By the end of Words of Radiance, we'll be over 50% chapter commissions for the book.
Wait, you're saying that over half of the chapters will be commissioned of this book?
No, there's no way. Well, maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, you
That's
guys are
possible.
a little wild.
We did what, 8 this week? I don't even know how many chapter commissions we did this week.
And there's, I think, more next week. Like, y'all are bonkers.
Let's see.
Fucking mad lads up in here. God damn it.
We're getting a lot of painting done, so I feel good about it.
That's true. That is very true.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did 7 this week.
Apparently, Arzu said that we could, according to chat. I don't know how
during
much do we trust.
During the recap and question stream, so that's going to be the full book recap.
Oh.
So we'll read it in like 2 months, Linus.
Gotcha.
Cool.
That's fair.
Well, since the conversation died when I tried to ask Claris what she was thinking about the book so far, let's dive into...
What do you think about the book so far?
Thank you so much for asking.
I made a joke and it was funny, okay?
That's such a polite way to keep the conversation going.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I am really happy with it. I think there is a lot to love. And the book has a little bit more of a foundation than the first book ever felt like it really got. And I'm really grateful for that.
It's because the foundation of this book is the previous book.
Yeah, well, and that's something I wanted to talk about, right? Is I kind of feel like you could edit this down to be a book. And by the end of the second book, I might not feel that way anymore. But right now, I'm kind of like, it doesn't really feel like we're in a separate book. It feels like we're finally in the plot of the first book.
Yeah,
a little bit.
We're also only like, what, 1/7 into the book?
No, 100%. And I don't disagree with that. I just think that right now, I do kind of feel like some of the information that was levied upon us by Way of Kings that felt like it just like was just there to be there is referenced in this book in a way that I'm like, oh, these things should have happened in the same book. Like the setup and payoff of this could have been in one novel, and I don't know why it wasn't. Like
because it's too long.
And I think that
have you seen that book?
I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah.
But for a book that I think is... For a book that I don't think does the best job standing on its own, it doesn't help that book to immediately at the beginning of the next book reframe everything in a way that the first book... in a much more interesting way than the first book did.
Well, yeah, and a lot of information is given even in this section alone. There's a lot more that we understand, a lot of clarifications, and like honestly, like the same number of questions on top of that, in a way that like definitely really kicks this book into high gear. Like there's no warm up really. Like it just kind of gets going.
But I feel like the way in which this book answers some questions and asks new ones is far more interesting to me than the first book's version of people are confused, they're asking a bunch of questions, maybe we'll get to it.
Yeah, like if I were to like make a small request, I would have like I think had a bit more clarity by the end of book 1. Because it feels like the start of book 2 is like, all right, here's shit that's happening. And I think just like taking like, 5 or 10% of those answers at the beginning of this book and like sprinkling them throughout, the first book would, I think, help with the flow into the second book. Because it does, in a lot of ways, like, you get that Sanderlanche effect. Where it's suddenly so much shit is happening, and there's so many things going on, and so much is changing, and so much is new, and a lot of stuff is answered, and a lot of stuff is asked. And it literally feels like the start of this book is almost that continuation of that tumble down the cliff.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I also think, like, something like Risen, I think it was Interlude 3. Could have just been the second part of Risen story in the first. Instead of having one Risen chapter in the first book that doesn't go anywhere, doesn't relate to anything, you take this other Risen chapter and you put it at the end of the first book, in that like last section of Interludes in the first book, and suddenly the Interludes have bookends within themselves, right?
Right.
Suddenly that like one interlude that meant fucking nothing because I don't give a shit about traders on the other side of the planet who don't have a plot.
Yeah.
Suddenly at the end of the first book you're like, oh cool, like this girl is actually more than just a woman learning how to like trade with characters who are so far away from what is happening that I can't possibly give a shit.
I loved her interlude in this book.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I was like, oh shit, like I hope that we get more than one in this book. You know what I mean? Because we got one last time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we got one last book, and then we got this
first set of interludes. So I'm like, okay, I guess we'll check in with Rizanigan and Oathbringer and hope that I remember any of this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is not like my favorite construction. And here's the thing, she might be more in this book, like we don't know, but my fear is that we're only going to get like one moment with her each book, which is a tragedy because I think that her story, like at least in this interlude, was really interesting.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
She's really cool.
I just don't
want to know what that bug is. It's like a dragonfly.
I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of it. If this is the only interlude we get from her again, I don't really care. Because I don't, I'm like not interested in checking in with this character every 1,000 pages of novel.
There is so much else that is going on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that Christian Rapper says the interlude, Christian Rapper says you wouldn't even understand the stuff from the second book without the first book. It's only interesting because you read the first book. I'm not arguing that the second book is good on its own without reading the first book.
Yeah.
My argument is that I think that the way that the first book is structured and the information we have at the beginning of the second book, that the way we're getting information in the second book is pointing to the flaws I felt in the first book more.
Sure, yeah.
Where the first book was so convinced, it felt so stuck in trying to keep some of its mysteries back. And I feel like just some of this information could have been woven into the plot, particularly at the end of the book. When I was saying that I felt like in part 5, when we were bouncing back and forth, and the bouncing back and forth had nothing to do with each other. It was just happening at the same time. But like the information we learned in the Jasnah stuff did not relate to the information that we learned in the chasm stuff.
Yeah.
But then immediately at the beginning of this book just starts with like, oh, and this is what's going on in the chasms in the Jasnah storyline. And I'm like, why did you save this to be the start of this book when that could have been the reason why we're bouncing back and forth is because this is what Jasnah is learning about?
That's fair.
But even in the part 5, in the finale of the book, Jasnah's still holding information back from us, the audience, so that the mystery keeps going until page 17 of the next book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And it's not some big reveal. It's literally just a thing that Jasnah says while sitting in a ship.
Yeah.
The next novel.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like some of the ways I feel about the first book are being reinforced by reading this book. But also I'm grateful for the first book because I really like this book.
Yeah.
Like I'm really happy with it right now. I think that all of the characters' motivations are laid out. I think that we're setting up some really strong themes to explore within these characters, particularly within Kaladin's plotline, which I think is really strong right now, right?
Yeah.
I think that the mantle of leadership that sits on Cal's shoulder is really wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the way Amaram comes back. I mean, like I made it the title of the video. I think it's the best.
Wild. Yeah.
I think that it is the best moment of this. It's definitely going to, I'll spoil my high is that. I think it's the best setup for this book because, you take this character who the whole time is like, can I trust him? Can I trust him? Can I trust him? I think I can. And then boom.
He's working with the person I despise the most in the entire world.
And this is a different thing from what I was just saying about the first book. Where like I really love that Amaram's arrival is like a throwaway line that is brought up, I think, one time in the previous novel. Right? Where they're like, yeah, Amaram's coming to the Shattered Plane soon. And then it's never brought up again. Yeah. And then this is like, that is a different thing. Where like, because Amaram is this book's plot, I'm stoked that they just mentioned it, but then left it alone until, boom, Amaram shows up. That's going to be the driving force of a lot of motion here.
And also, I think tying him into the prelude with Jasnah, seeing them together, and like having that understanding that Amaram is so much a part of a larger plot than just like the guy that Kaladin hates.
Well, because I thought he was just some like pimple-faced, like 25-year-old lord from buttfuck nowhere. I didn't realize how deeply connected he was to Gavalar, and like, so it's going to be really interesting as these things kind of interweave how he becomes more and more part of this. Yeah.
I think, oh man. I feel like so bad for Kaladin. Like when it ended, I was like, no! I'm very excited to start this next week's reading for sure.
Yeah, me as well.
But yeah, definitely loving the book so far. Mm-hmm. Should we start with the prologue?
Yeah, let's get into it. Prologue to question. Mm-hmm. Jasnah. Okay, you fucks. I just want to say, for the record, y'all are fucks. I'm looking at you, chat. Y'all were like, read the first sentence of the prologue last week. And we were like, Jasnah's at the banquet 6 years ago to kill somebody. And so we went on a long thing about, holy shit, Jasnah's going to try and kill her father. And nope, she was going to maybe have her sister-in-law assassinated.
Yeah, maybe. Which just in case.
Doesn't happen. No. And doesn't matter now because Jasnah's dead. But that was wild.
Yeah, what a journey we went on. Especially because Jasnah dies shortly after in this book. I was like, oh, she was the prologue, she's getting she's POVs. Not dead.
There's no way she's dead.
I don't know, I think she's dead.
I don't. I think that the whole Radiance thing makes me think that she's going to be alive. So
then do you think that the old man in the Interlude's also alive? No, he got killed by a shard blade.
No, he got assassinated. She got stabbed by a normal knife. You know what I mean?
She got stabbed twice and then drowned.
Yeah, but if we go by Star Wars logic, that getting stabbed with your magic sword doesn't kill you, but getting stabbed by a little knife does. So,
well, it wasn't a magic sword.
Yeah.
So then Jasnah is dead.
That is what I was saying. Yeah.
I thought you were arguing.
I was making an acolyte joke that you can get stabbed with a lightsaber and live, but if you get stabbed with a little knife, it kills the Jedi. Yeah. Anyway, I thought this chapter was wonderful.
It was great.
It did surprise me in many ways. The first surprise was I figured Jasnah had been doing this longer. It surprised me that her first experience with Shadesmar was 6 years ago.
Okay. Interesting.
She just has the confidence of someone who feels like she came out the womb soul casting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She soul cast her mother's vagina a little bit wider so that she could slide out easier.
She's like, Mom, I got this. Don't worry. I don't know. I feel like 6 years is a good chunk of time. But also Jasnah is the person who just pretends that she knows exactly what she is doing at all times, right?
And it works.
It does. Hey, we all know those people. We all know,
Yeah, me.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. You do everything with confidence.
Yeah. I get it wrong a lot, but I will be confident until it falls apart.
That's fair.
Yeah. There's no other way to approach it. You know what I mean? I can hem and haw about it, but who does that help?
Yeah.
You just walk into the situation, look him in the eyes, give him a firm handshake, and on the inside, I'm dying. But on the outside, I look great. I look like everything's working.
You do look great.
I think it's why people think I'm an asshole online is because I just speak confidently. But I don't know how to not, because if I don't speak confidently, I don't know.
You're like, who am I?
I do. I think it's a part of it. I think that there's an element of I am going to present that I believe in myself 100%.
Yeah.
Even when I don't.
Yeah.
You know? I am that guy that's I'm pretty sure I could land a plane if the pilot died. If I had a headset explaining what to do, I think that because in my head, I'm it's mostly turning on autopilot, right? I just need someone to walk me through the series of buttons that turn on the autopilot.
No, the autopilot is for flying. The takeoff and the landing, it does matter. You know what?
I know, but that's the problem. That's probably true, but I'm utterly confident that if you gave me the headset, somebody would be able to explain to me how to turn on the autopilot and we'd be okay. Yeah.
Nerdy took the theater what Linus says, fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. Nerdy learned that in theater from a very young age and went, this is my whole personality.
I played a pilot in a short film one time. I could do it. No.
So Jasnah doesn't know what she's doing, but she's gonna darn pretend that she does. She accidentally falls into Shadesmar. Horrifying experience.
Yeah, Phantom Fail says modern planes can land on autopilot without manual intervention. That's why I'm so confident. If I had to actually land the plane, I'd be like, oh, no. Well, maybe. I played a lot of video games. Maybe I could. But no, I'm supremely confident that if you put me in the pilot seat of an aircraft that was already flying, and you gave me a headset with an expert on the other end, I could turn on autopilot. And if the autopilot
That's fair.
crashes, that's not on me. That's on whoever that's on Boeing. And honestly, can't trust them. They're not having a good
It's
year.
probably Boeing's fault.
I would
Let's be
you know
honest.
what? We might be safer if I tried to land it myself right now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
those poor engineers.
Uh,
Anyway, how's capitalism treating you guys today? So Jasnah sees Gavalar and Amaram in a hallway doing some shady shit while she's off to go hire an assassin to murder her sister-in-law.
No, just in case she wants to, she sets
No.
up the possibility.
She
to murder
decides later in the chapter, she's like, maybe I'll put her on standby. But in this moment, she's like, oh, no, I'm going to have that girl murdered.
her.
The fuck did she do?
Yeah, what did she do?
Also-
we need to meet this character.
Her name is Aes Sedai. Aes Sedan. And
it's like,
Aes Sedan...
No, it's not.
Aes Sedan is not a character at this point, which is a little bit unfortunate. Like,
all that we know is that she is running this kingdom while Elhokar is on the Shattered Plains.
yes.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because, like, I trust Jasnah as a character, and so the fact that Jasnah is trying to have her sister-in-law assassinated is a bad sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. But here's my question. Actually, I disagree with you. This isn't the Jasnah we know.
Okay.
This is Jasnah 6 years ago. This is Jasnah pre-cognitive realm. This is Jasnah her turning her interests into her powers and into the meta magic of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
We cannot say for certain that Jasnah 6 years ago is a character that we trust. Because I don't trust myself 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, 2018 Nerdy was a piece of garbage. I was working in restaurants and being a little fuckboy around New York City. I was in a bad, depressed place, and I used alcohol and sex to smooth that over, and I'm a different man now. So we can't like make the claim that 6 years ago Jasnah was a person that we trust.
I guess. But, like, Elhokar's wife is still alive, so Jasnah never, like, pulled the trigger in all those 6 years.
Yeah, because Gavalar was murdered. The whole world changed that night, right? Like, she wakes up the next day, she's like, well, I can't have my sister-in-law murdered now. We just had a royal assassination last night.
No, it's a perfect time in the chaos.
It's the perfect time to get it done.
Yeah.
It's the worst time in terms of stability of the kingdom. Even if you don't love Aes Sedan, unless she is a monster, which she can't be, right? Like, no one has ever spoken about her in a negative way at all.
No one has ever spoken about her.
Right, but if she was this terrible person, she would have come up.
Maybe, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Titanic says it's Jasnah pre-atheism publicly. No, it's just post-atheism publicly.
Yeah, she literally, like, just announced it.
Because she has just announced that she's an atheist at the party earlier before Dalinar got too hammered to remember things.
Was it literally at the party?
Yes. Yeah, it was at that event that night, right?
I get, yeah, it was very, 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 very recent.
Memonk says, I wonder if the assassin is still being her maid. Well, if she is, she sucks at it, because she got murdered, Memonk. Jasnah is fucking temporarily dead.
And, like...
Should we bet on it?
Oh, sure.
What do you want to bet?
I don't know.
Okay. We're really good at this.
What do you want?
I'm good.
Great. Nailed it. Love that for us.
It was at the party, but it was very recent. Whatever. Anyway, the point is, she is going to go meet that assassin. And while she's going to go meet that assassin, oops, Shadesmar.
Oops. Oh, and the thingies are lie spren.
Oh, no, is the assassin still placed near her sister-in-law?
Oh.
I doubt it. Assassins are very expensive. Like, keeping an assassin on for 6 years
royalty.
to not be an assassin.
No, but she's been spying on her the whole time. That's the point.
Yeah, I know, but don't you think that if you were like a professional assassin, there, like somewhere in year one, you'd be like, hey, there are a lot of people who are really good at this. I kill people. So
And Jasnah would be like, shut the fuck up, I'm royalty, here's money.
No, I think that, like, if you're an assassin, you're probably proud of your work, right? Like, you have a certain amount of, like, hey, my reputation is gonna... But when you're done with me, everyone will think that I'm dead and no one will think of me to hire me in the future. So unless you're, like, taking me on for life here, I need to go kill some people for money so that my reputation doesn't die.
She probably, like, goes and murders on her off days, you know what I mean?
Why would you murder on your off days? If you're getting paid that
For the reputation.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And that the longer that your spy is there, the more that they are trusted. Right?
Yeah, but I just don't... I feel like assassin and spy are different jobs. And I feel like, especially an assassin who has relationships with dignitaries because they've been hired by them to assassinate in the past, who shows her real face to people, right? Mm-hmm. Would be a bad assassin to put as a maid next to a woman who's going to meet with foreign dignitaries who are going to be like, hey, your maid is a very famous assassin.
But she's not famous. She gouges out all of the eyeballs so that, like...
She gouges out the eyeballs of the people she kills.
Sure. So who's gonna be...
But she doesn't gouge out the eyeballs of Jasnah, who's hired her multiple times. And other people hire her, and she... In this world, the way that she gets hired is face-to-face conversations in person, which is the least safe way as an assassin to get hired for a job.
So you're just assuming that, like, this assassin only works for, like, royalty around the world, and that they would be like, oh, hey, your maid is an assassin? Like, how would, like, the king of Yakaved see her maid?
At an event?
Why would her maid be in an event? That, like,
what do you mean? Why wouldn't she be at the event? Someone's got to pour her fucking wine?
No. You have literally separate people for that are for, like, the, like, cooking and shit. Like, your, like, handmaiden is there to, like, dress you and clean your rooms and take care of your stuff and, like, your quarters. Not
and
to like,
attend you at, like, dignitary meetings and...
No, you would have, like, professional, like, butlers. Like, they are so rich. They are so rich in royalty that you would have different servants for, like, different fucking rooms in the house. Like, you have your cupbearers, you've got
If she's
cooks.
not, like, a front-facing part of the staff, that could work.
I've never seen or read anything where, like, the, like, royalty's handmaiden is, like, part of, like, feasts or events or things like that. They're in the servants' quarters. They're, like, different people.
Really interesting, because I feel like we've watched Bridgerton together.
Bridgerton?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Bridgerton.
But in terms of, like, the handmaidens and the staff being around to take care of people at events, that is a thing that happens, right?
But none of the, like, people that dress any of the main characters in Bridgerton are working the balls that they hold. They're never present.
Yeah, that's one thing I do have a problem with in Bridgerton, is they never have caterers walking around with food. It's a very odd thing where the balls have nobody working inside the room. If you like look around, there's no one present. Uh-huh. Like if a spill happens, there's somebody that... Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You gotta work the balls, Nicholas Reed. You gotta work the balls. Anyway, this does not matter. This is not what the book is about. This is a moment where Jasnah falls into a sea of glass, and she almost dies. Mm-hmm. But she has just enough stormlight, and she doesn't, and it's sick as fuck.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah. That
would have really changed things. Yeah, we see Amaram meeting with Gavalar. That's important, probably. And,
so the Parshendi already have Szeth with them.
Yes.
And so at the beginning of the chapter, you're like, oh, she's going to go meet with the Parshendi? Like, that's weird. And then she doesn't. We also find out, and this is where I have egg on my face, admittedly. I gotta own up to it. Egg on my face. The Parshendi don't look the same when Dalinar fights them on the war battlefield, because they, like, literally don't look this. They look like completely different people than the ones that he negotiated with 6 years ago.
Oh, because of the different forms.
And so I understand now how Dalinar is confused.
That's fair.
I get it.
Because they hadn't discovered war form 6 years ago, right?
Yes, and so they don't grow a carapace over time.
Well, no, they still have... I think they still have carapaces in their other forms, but it just, like... It literally, like, grows differently. Like, it's, like, completely
But it's
different.
not something that's, like, growing on them constantly while they're in battle, right?
No.
They go into a storm, they summon the right spren, and then they come out in war form.
Yeah.
And then they grow the carapace in that process.
Yeah.
And so the reason why Dalinar did not recognize that there were females on the battlefield, despite having met female Parshendi 6 years ago, is because the change in form made them drastically look different.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a weird concept. I really don't know how we could have predicted that, to be fair. That seems like a crazy thing to have predicted. So I'm not like mad that we were working on the assumption that they looked the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely changes things for sure. Yeah, Parshendi already got Szeth, already gonna murder Gavalar, and so they kill him.
Which I want to get into. Because we're gonna get into this in the Eshonai chapters,
Yeah.
but let's fucking get into it now.
Yeah.
Eshonai says that Gavalar told them that night, right, about his plan.
What?
Which means that they already had Szeth with them.
No. They went to the feast with the intention of assassinating him.
But they find out at the negotiation that Gavalar... I guess my question is, if the Parshendi are this very sequestered culture, how did they... And I'm sure the book will answer this at some point, but how did they get to the point where Gavalar tells them he's going to do something, which I'm a little bit frustrated with how that was told to us, the audience, because it's an internal POV of a character who knows what it is, but doesn't reveal it to herself in that moment. She is speaking to herself vaguely, so that we don't find out. But it's not my favorite writing tactic to be in the mind of someone who has information that they vaguely recant to themselves, so that the audience doesn't have more information than they should.
Yeah.
Even though we're in a character's POV. Anyway, doesn't matter. The book's good. So the Parshendi are sequestered from society. They don't interact with society much, but somehow between Gavalar telling them that he has this plan to do something that's gonna gods or some shit, the Parshendi then manage to buy a slave assassin from some other person from another country, understand what he is and what he does, and get him to kill Gavalar. And I was like, but okay, yeah, but also how does this sequence of events work?
Yeah.
And I know that we're gonna find out. I totally understand that we're gonna find out. It's just this is one of those things that's like a mystery for some reason. I don't know why this is a mystery. I think that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're like, we can't tell you. We're going to hang out with the Parshendi right now. We can't actually tell you how any of the things that they are doing fit into the story yet. We're just going to let you know that it happened. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess I'll read it eventually.
Yeah.
When you decide it's relevant information.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah.
Christian Rapper says, so instead of just saying Gavalar, that's not a good idea because they just decided to murder him. Yeah.
Yeah. Must have been pretty bad.
I really hope that when we get to this reveal, it works for me.
Sure.
Because the Sadeas one didn't.
Yeah.
And this does stink of like, well, because the plot needed it to happen.
I mean, I don't know. Because here's the thing. Like, we know what the gods are to the Parshendi and how, like, bad that is. And so I can't imagine the Parshendi were like, oh yeah, we could totally convince Gavalar to not do a thing. But the problem is I don't have context for what that is or why.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out.
I just, if this entire thing is like the Parshendi fought a 6-year war where they just got slowly like wiped off the face of the earth because they misinterpreted a prophecy.
Oh, no, I doubt
it's gonna be like,
that.
all right.
Yeah. I doubt it's gonna be that. But also, like, we don't know what the process was for them finding out about the plan or trying to undermine the plan or talking to Gavalar about the plan. Like, there might have been other stuff that happens. It might not have been, oh, that's what you're gonna do? Okay, well, time to assassinate. Like...
Breezy says, does Gavalar seem like the kind of person who would listen to others telling him not to do whatever he was doing? Serious question. I have a serious question for you. Do you think that we have any understanding of who Gavalar is as a person, considering we have never seen him in conversation with anybody?
And because he changed so much in like the year.
Well, no, but
or
like
two.
we literally have never seen we've never had a chapter with him.
No, but we've
seen him in a fight, and we've watched him talk to Amaram at the end of a hallway. But
and Jasnah, they talk.
Barely.
80, welcome to the Nerds Radiant.
Thank you
Enjoy
for joining us. I have no sense of Gavalar at this point.
No, 100%.
Much like Isadun, we've been doomed. He is not a character at this point. He is a
Asmodean.
Actually,
Jasnah killed Asmodean.
Yeah, I don't think Gavalar at this point is a plot device, and he'll become a character when we meet him in flashbacks. I'm assuming.
I don't know.
But I couldn't tell you what Gavalar would do. I don't know. I haven't seen him interact in a situation in any way at this point, right?
Yeah, all that we really know about Gavalar is that he used to be pretty violent, aggressive human, and then kind of changed very rapidly over the course of I don't even know what the timeline was, a year or two after meeting the Parshendi and negotiating with them.
Yeah.
And
becoming obsessed with the Way of Kings.
The Way of Kings. So Gavalar, as a person right now, is inconsistent to even the characters that are in the book. I don't think he could be a consistent character for us based on what we know of him.
Good point.
Yeah.
Jasnah hears the Parshendi drums end while she's talking with Liss. And then she basically is like, oh no, bad things are happening. She hears a bunch of screaming, runs off. Basically finds Gavalar. She actually runs into the room and watches as the balcony breaks.
Yeah,
and so
she is there.
Gavalar, yeah, which is wild.
Yeah.
She watches her dad die. And then the Parshendi 3 people, we don't meet them later, so I'm assuming they're dead. Because they're not in the Eshonai chapters.
Yeah.
But they walk up and they're like, yeah, we did it. Immediately afterwards.
Hey, we killed your dad.
Actually, no, no, of course they're dead. They get fucking, right. They get, assassinated, or they get killed.
Oh, yeah, they get executed.
Yeah.
They get fucking tortured and questioned and killed.
Yeah.
And Jasnah's like, it's gonna be war. And they're like, yep. Good talk.
They're so chill about it.
I know.
Which feels so, they
literally stayed there so that everyone else could get away as a distraction.
Well, there's that, but also one thing that I want to get into with the Parshendi plan. I hope that the book gets into rather. Not I don't want to talk about it that much now, but if the king has already set it in motion, killing the king might not stop it. So they might have just started this war for fucking nothing. And we don't know yet, right? We'll get into it as we get further into the book. But I was just kind of yeah, you murdered the guy, but that does that actually stop what he put in motion with Amaram? Does it? I don't know.
Maybe that's why they admitted to the killing, is because the war on the Shattered Plains would have halted whatever this plan was.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
The bulk of their forces would have been needed to enact it, and so by pulling them to the Shattered Plains. But then I was kind of right in book 1, right? Where they started the war because they needed to, and I actually was kind of right when in book 1 when I was it feels like the Parshendi are stalling them here intentionally.
Yeah.
I was wrong about the Parshendi, hiding the bulk of their forces, and that there was more going on than this. But the Parshendi did want a protracted chasm war in the hopes that the Alethi would get bored of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they fucked that one up. They don't know the Alethi that well.
Yeah.
And also they didn't anticipate the gem hearts, obviously. But Joe White, thank you for that super duper chat. I seem to remember that there were codes and clues in the images of the Way of Kings that were all cracked within months. Then book 2 became much more forthcoming with info, which improved everything. Codes in the images? Yeah, and I guess, honestly, the images aren't great on the Kindle. I wasn't able to actually really give them probably the credence that they were due, because they were hard to make out. So, but thank you for that super chat.
Ernest Hill, thank you for that super chat. Stormlight suffers from things being so important for later books that the readers are spoon-fed bits and pieces, and we are left wanting more. I think Way of Kings suffers from that more than this book.
So far, yeah.
I think that and it's not. Sometimes when I say that, we get these YouTube comments that are people like, "What you want the book to tell you everything all at once? Oh, Nerdy just wants the book to tell him everything right at the beginning." That isn't the argument that I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really successful writing comes from revealing and then adding a mystery. And I think that the first book didn't do enough of the revealing. And so the book just felt like it was constantly trying to keep me in a state of confusion about everything, to the point where I got exhausted of it not getting into any reveals. Particularly because we spent so much time with high status characters that should have some more information than our low status characters. And at times it felt like Dalinar and Adolin were as much in the dark as Kaladin, which isn't reasonable to me because of the change in their station.
Yeah.
And I think that what this book is already doing a lot better than the first book for my taste is there's still so many mysteries. There's so many things going on that I don't understand. Who are the Ghostbloods? Why did they kill Jasnah here? How did they get a bunch of people onto a boat in the middle of nowhere? Like, there's a bunch, even in just that one plot, there's still a bunch of mysteries, but Jasnah is actually revealing some things to Shallan. And so the balance of new information and new mysteries is better here than I think that they accomplished in the first book, which is why I think the first book should have had a plot line in it that resolved completely within the first book. Just so it felt like there was something that happened.
Because then it would have felt less like a prologue as well. It would have felt like its own story that then led into this book. Yeah.
And I just think that I think the argument that, well, the first book is a prequel to a 10-book series is a weak reasoning for that book to have such a easily criticized weakness, in my opinion. So much so that, like, now that I've read Way of Kings, I'm, like, seeing more... I'm not swiping away from Way of Kings content as much. And I'm very much not in the minority here. Like, a lot of people's commentary about the book is mine. Yeah. It's very similar to mine. And so I don't really feel like I'm coming out of left field in saying this. I do feel like there are ways that Way of Kings could have been a stronger solo book that might not make the series better, right? Like, I haven't read the 4 books. Obviously, none of us have read Wind and Truth. Maybe some of you have, if you're like if you have a pre-reader copy or something.
Sure.
Making Way of Kings better for my taste might not make the series better. And so if the series is the way that it is and I love it despite the fact that Way of Kings is not the strongest book in the world to me, that's fine. I don't need every book in a series to be perfect for me to like the series.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like, there is a marked improvement in terms of keeping me interested in the chapter-to-chapter goings-on of this book because the balance is better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you. Judah Canceris, welcome back to the Nerds Radiant. It's also important to note that while we progress through the series, we are actively watching in real time Sando improve on his own writing. But
we're also like, we can't keep using that excuse. Guys, we're like 7 books into him being a published author at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like all in the span of like a year. The way that dude fucking writes.
Well, no, that was like, I think we're 6 years in him being published. I just think that Brandon Sanderson gets better is like, okay, but this is like book 7 that he, either 6 or 7 that he published, right? It's not like when we were reading like the first Mistborn book.
Yeah, but the first Mistborn book was written
tighter than this.
And it was written like after some of the other stuff. So like, I don't. I think that I think that it doesn't mean a lot, but it is something to take into account for sure. Because people grow and people change, right?
Arrow says Sanderson has said that the first book's plot is an underdog sports story, essentially. I think it is successful in that.
An underdog sports story.
I don't get that at all.
That's not how I would have described it.
A, who's the underdog?
Kaladin. Bridge 4.
No, he's not. He's in the army that is the stronger army.
But it's not about the team. You can be the underdog on a strong team.
No, that's not how underdog sports stories work.
Yeah, it's you're the like unexpected, like brilliant player.
But then he's saying that he's the underdog against the opponent being his own army.
Yeah.
It's not a sports story. I'm sorry, Brandon. I heavily disagree with that.
I mean, I'm like, I get it. I don't think it's a great way to describe it, but yeah.
Bridge 4 versus Sadeas?
Yeah.
But it's not Bridge 4 versus Sadeas.
What do you mean?
But Bridge 4 doesn't fight Sadeas.
It's Bridge 4 versus the world.
Sadeas isn't aware of Bridge 4. Sadeas, and this is part of the problem. Sadeas isn't the Sadeas is Dalinar's antagonist, but he isn't actually Bridge 4's antagonist because he never does anything against Bridge 4. right?
I mean, it's probably his actions that lead to the like hardships of Bridge 4, like given through the other Light Eyes, right? With Hershey.
But every time Sadeas interacts with Bridge 4, Sadeas is on Bridge 4's side. And that's where that gets complicated.
Well, no. He wanted to keep the bridge crew, and Dalinar went, no, here's my shard blade.
Right, but that's not something that Kaladin interacted with. That was Dalinar's plotline against Sadeas. Not every time Sadeas interacts with Kaladin, indirectly, he doesn't kill Kaladin. He protects Kaladin from things getting much, much worse.
I think Sadeas is too, like, specific. I think it's literally, like, Bridge 4 versus the army, like, and the higher
I just wouldn't call it a sports story.
No, I don't know if that's a great description of it.
Like, the odds aren't really against them.
What do you mean? The odds are completely against them.
Not really. They are in the stronger army. They're gonna win. But
it's not about the army.
They win more than they lose.
Yeah, but the bridge crews get fucking massacred.
I know, but that's what makes it.
It's not about
the army. It's a war story. It's just not a sports story.
But it's not about the army.
It is not about an underdog guy who. Someone said Rudy. Kaladin has fucking superpowers. Rudy is about the guy on the sports team that can't actually do the thing. And so he's an underdog because he's undersized. He doesn't have the ability to be a good sports player, right? And it's a great movie. And when they put the jerseys down on the fucking desk, you bawl your fucking eyes out. It is great. Kaladin has superpowers and is not the underdog. Kaladin is the fucking Knights Radiant who can dodge arrows from a fucking army and does it exceptionally well. He is literally the most powerful character in the book, other than maybe Zeph.
Well, I don't know. He doesn't
Calling
know that.
him the underdog. He is in a shit situation, but he is not an underdog. He has god powers and can kill by the thousands. That's like being like Wayne Gretzky on a bad Edmonton Oilers team is an underdog story. No, it's not. He's still Wayne fucking Gretzky. He's the best to ever do it. He might be the best athlete in any sport ever, other than like maybe Simone Biles, right?
But like an underdog can still be someone who is good at the thing that they're trying to do. Or maybe even the best. They just don't have the opportunities that the other people around them have. Like, you could tell an underdog sports story about a poor kid who, like, had so much potential, but, like, was really hamstringed by the fact he didn't have the money to train the way the fucking rich players did. And so he has to, like, work extra hard to, like, be a part of the team and build it up and, like, do something about it. And that's
but then
like
the story has
underdog.
to be about him making the team. Because once he's on the team, it's not an underdog
well,
story anymore
Kaladin
because he's the best player.
Makes Bridge 4. He's like, all right, I'm going to take this fucking sorry-ass lot, and we're going to actually be a team. Like, I still don't think it's a great metaphor, but I can kind of understand the logic
stop arguing with me
it.
and let's move on.
Well, no, I think that you're wrong.
I am not wrong. Do you want to know why the Bad News Bears are the Bad News Bears? It's because they're bad at baseball. They're not good at it. And so they're the underdog.
Sure.
If you put the Flash on the track and field team and everybody else sucks, you still have the fucking Flash on your track and field team. You're gonna win.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what I said.
Kaladin is not some, like, random guy who happens to, like, find the gumption to be good at spear shit.
He
is a magic character who meets God, and before he even makes Bridge 4, he kills a shard bearer with a fucking knife.
Yeah, I'm with Rob Ross. It's a weird hill for you. Guillermo, thank you for that super chat. Let's go.
Baris, they're the little team that refuses to be broken, finding trust in each other, having training montages, and when they seem to find a way to survive, they are put back down. Think the full schedule, the working in the chasm. Guys.
Like, Mulan is like an underdog story in a way.
And Mulan is not a sports movie. I would argue this is more like Mulan. If you wanted to be like, Brandon Sanderson wrote White Mulan, or they're also Asian, actually. It's just male Mulan.
It's Mulan, yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
This is like Mulan, but I don't watch Mulan
Except
and go,
that Kaladin was forced into it.
This is an underdog sports story.
Yeah.
That's just if you tried to explain Mulan to me as being an underdog sports movie, I would call you insane. And so I'm going to call Brandon Sanderson insane for this metaphor too. It doesn't work. Kaladin has fucking god powers and is the only person that has the god powers.
I think you could argue that Mulan is an underdog sports story. Because she takes out the Huns. Like, she, like, fucks them up.
They're not playing basketball.
Yeah, but she gets a medal at the end of it. How is that not a sports story?
She uses a fucking cannon to blow up in a mountain and cause an avalanche to come down on them. It's not a sport. It's not a game. It's not friendly competition. It's fucking war.
They shoot shit at the Olympics, okay? War is sport. You know what, to the Alethi, you're right.
Lose my mind.
War is sport.
I am gonna lose my mind.
Chat
Can we talk about book 2? I don't want to talk about book 1 anymore. I think I've said enough.
Yeah.
We're an hour in. We're officially done talking about Way of Kings, unless it's like stuff that we have to talk about.
I love that for us.
Part 1, A Light. We finally got to a chapter.
Crushed it.
God, this show's a fucking nightmare. Chapter 1, Xanthid. Shallan, or Shallan.
I'm on a boat and it's going fast and I got an nautical theme, Pashmina Afghan. Yeah, they're on a boat.
Brandon Sanderson decided that, unlike Robert Jordan, he did not want his series to have 2,500 named characters. And so what boat are we on?
The Wind's
Shallan's
Pleasure.
boat from the first book.
The same book, so we don't have to have new boat people. Yeah.
We don't need to name new characters. I was genuinely surprised by this a little bit, because I figured Jasnah would have a boat.
Well, I mean, Jasnah, remember they called the Wind's Pleasure to go take Shallan away after she found out that she lied, right? And that boat was just still in the harbor. And Shallan was like, I trust these people. So Jasnah didn't have to, like, look for another boat.
No, my surprise was that Jasnah doesn't have, like...
Oh, her own.
Like
that's, like, sitting there waiting
the Alethkar Royal Navy. You know what I mean? I was surprised that a nation that seems to be on the ocean wouldn't have its... like highest ranking researcher in a boat with Alethkar officers on it. That was my surprise.
Okay, I think that's fair. Like, you would think that, like, the royalty would literally have their own.
Well, because I was kind of like, I was surprised that Jasnah doesn't seem to have a guard, despite the fact that people want to murder her constantly. Yeah. And so, like, in a world where the Alethkar are a fighting force kind of a country, that Jasnah doesn't have...
Alethkar doesn't have a navy? Well, then they would lose in Civ.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of surprised that she was like, oh, you have a good captain that you like? I'll go with you. The captain that brought you here to rob me? And I still don't trust you, but I'm going to ride in the boat that you came to rob me in. I don't know. It just felt a little bit weird.
No, it's nice.
Jasnah doesn't have a boat.
We don't need new characters.
I mean, it's necessary because...
and they're all dead.
You know.
Michael Kioski, that was very funny. Thank you for that.
I'm sailing away. All right. So they are hanging out, and a little guy appears on the boat who... Claris was like, wow, you really crushed... Because I was like, oh, we'll call him Pattern. And she's like, wow, you really crushed that. Like, you guessed that really good. And I was like, no, it was just the name of the chapter.
No, it's not. The name of the chapter is
in the name.
Oh, in chapter 3. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was like, how did you fucking know that?
It was just, Claris doesn't read the chapter names.
I don't read the chapter names. I actually don't.
Even in the audiobook reaction, when Kate Redding speaks the chapter name into our ear holes.
Yeah, don't remember it.
She still doesn't, like, register it.
Yeah.
And so... I wasn't that smart. I just have realized that Brandon Sanderson likes to put names in the chapters. Because Eshonai...
Yes, that was very clear.
Was the chapter where they fight. And so she is drawing, and this pattern appears. She freaks out and manages to turn part of the deck green because we find out that she is a light bender or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We also, at the start of this chapter, we start to get Navani's journal entries about how 2 months from now, really bad things are going to happen.
62 days, motherfucker.
And we both have a lot of theories about what that's going to be, but we'll get to that later.
I honestly don't fucking know, but yeah. We get a lot of information. They talk about Shadesmar a lot, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then the chapter title is Xanthid, so there's like a crab that's like swimming next to them. And Shallan is like, I want to go see it. And the captain's like, no. And she's like, oh, okay.
Not she wants to go see it. I want you to lower me down.
Yeah, how else is she going to go see it? Obviously. So the captain's like, no. And Shallan's like,
tie me in the
okay,
boat and
well,
drop me in the ocean.
Shallan's like, well, how is it possible that, like, Jasnah is able to get stuff, done and people listen to her? Well, I'm just going to go tell him that he's going to go fucking do it anyways. And then she does, and it works. And she goes, and she's the first person maybe ever to see this crab.
Yeah,
So
it's
good
not
for her.
really a crab. It's like a Cthulhu with an island on its back.
Yeah. It's like a squid with a hard top.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a squid muffin.
Yeah. Jasnah also says that Navani, importantly, might be able to fix the soulcaster so that
Oh, yes.
Shallan...
There is a whole plan here.
Yeah.
There's a whole plan, okay? Because Jasnah, I guess, feels bad, even though Shallan lied to her, and is like, you know what? You're going to be with me. We're going to help your family. I'm not going to be a total asshole and just fucking, like, leave them to the wolves. So we might be able to fix the soulcaster so you can give it back to the Ghostbloods.
Yeah.
And then you're also engaged to Adolin Cullen. You're welcome.
Which she's like, you're not going to love this. And then Shallan's like,
oh my
yes.
god!
Oh my god.
I won!
Yes,
I
let's
won!
go.
I won so hard.
Okay.
That was on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah. You're welcome. If you have headphones in.
The
It was
betrothal of Adolin is so funny because I think it was last week, I was like, she's going to end up with either Adolin or Renarin.
Yeah.
And immediately this book is like, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're engaged because Shallan's family needs powerful allies, and who is more powerful than High Prince of Alethkar?
And Jasnah's like, you're going to be a Radiant, and so I want to tie you to my family.
Jesus Christ. Breezy wants to know if we think Adolin and Shallan are going to get along well. I have a feeling that, like, at first, Adolin is not going to be super happy about this. But Adolin seems to, like, court people, obviously, very quickly. But no one that seems very scholarly. But he loves Navani. He loves his stepmother aunt.
They're not married yet.
No, I know. But he loves Navani, and Navani has a scholarly mind, like I think like Shallan does and Jasnah does. And so I think that it is going to be one of those, like, he will be very happy with the arrangement later down the line, right? Like, he's going to be like, oh, you're going to make me do this. But then actually, like, be happy because it's because I think it's someone that he can actually kind of talk to. Like, not that dueling, I think, is very, like, scholarly, but I think that from what I've seen, the way that Adolin, like, treats his, is it a calling? Sure. Treats his pick thing that he picks. Like, he takes it, like, very seriously. And I think that the two of them are going to have great conversations if Adolin can just stop being a fuckboy.
Judah, thank you for that super chat. Jasnah tries to pretend she's cold and unfeeling, but she cares a lot about the people close to her, and you see it in her actions. I love her so much.
I know, me too, and that's why I really don't want her to be dead. But I think that she is.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get along fine, honestly. I think mostly because they have to. Especially right now. I brought this up in the chapter reaction. No. I don't know when I brought it up. Because we didn't react to this chapter. I think that the fun thing... No, yeah, in the chapter where... I did, in the chapter where she dies. Because Jasnah's final action now is setting up this engagement. And so Adolin can't not honor it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's literally his, like, cousin's final thing that she put into place in the world.
Yeah. If Adolin
Which
is like,
puts some weird stress
then,
on it.
Yeah, then it's a little awkward.
Mr. Kite says, sport never changes. It's my favorite quote from Fallout.
We get
Fallout, really great sport game, you guys. I really love the sports in Fallout.
I've never played it, but I'll take your word for it.
I am kidding.
I figured.
I am making a joke.
Chapter 2 is Bridge 4. We're back with our boys. Kaladin's getting used to his new duties. He's, like, figuring out how the camp runs. Also, the camp is, like, a fucking horribly depressing place because half the barracks are empty because half of the men are dead.
Yeah.
So that's...
You know this camp ran out of alcohol fast.
Yeah, well...
Mostly just the women.
Do you
just
think
drinking away because their husbands are dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think Dalinar allows alcohol in his camp? But he definitely does. He just doesn't drink it himself.
He drinks off duty, right? He just doesn't drink on duty.
He's always on duty.
Huh.
Like, he lets his son have, like, 1 cup of, like, wine.
No, but doesn't he drink the, like... Oh my god, I think I'm mixing up fucking Cosmere books. Which was the Cosmere book that had the different colors of wine? That was
That's
Warbreaker.
this one.
No, I'm thinking of the different colors of wine from Warbreaker. Or no, was that... Oh my god, I'm mixing up my Stormlight.
I know there's definitely different colors in this
What
one.
was the Cosmere book where it's like the red wine is like the harder one, but the yellow wine... This one. So he will have the like yellow wine.
No, it's the orange is the non-alcoholic one, and the blue
But
one
it's not
and the
non-alcoholic.
purple one.
It's less alcoholic.
Oh, I thought it was like non-alcoholic.
No.
Because I remember he says 1 cup of the blue and then orange to his sons. So I just assumed that orange was like non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because the purple is the most alcoholic. And then I'm assuming it's like purple, blue, I don't know, yellow, orange.
This gets into like our real world, right? Is that there was a point where transporting... This is kind of relevant to real war strategy for a lot of human history, is that transporting water is really hard and keeping it clean. But transporting ale was less so.
Yeah.
And so if you go back to a lot of like military campaigns throughout history, they were all drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Not heavily intoxicated,
Yeah.
but they were a little bit tipsy because you were able to like keep the drink
Pure, clean.
cleaner to
Yeah.
drink by
Interesting.
having it be alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit more sterile. And so these armies would move around with slightly fermented drinks because the chance of them getting you sick was less.
Yeah. That's
Whereas
so interesting.
dysentery from dirty water was much more common.
Okay.
And so it's this is somewhat related to like real world military history.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Scuffandy, thank you so much for joining the Nerds Radiant, but can they make wine from water? I'm assuming that a soulcaster could absolutely do that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really get soul casting.
You take a thing and you make it into a different thing.
But you don't. Because there's like certain things that are like soul cast elements and certain ones that aren't. So I don't know that you could make wine because I would need a list of what the elements that you can actually soul cast are to know if it's possible. We've also never seen someone make something as complex as wine, which is a very, like, it's a complicated thing.
Sure.
We've never seen someone, we haven't seen soul casting done to make something as deeply complicated as wine is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's possible.
Blood also seems very complicated to me, but I don't know.
But blood is one of the basic elements.
Sure, so
like,
maybe wine is.
It might be. That's why I'm saying that I don't have enough information about soul casting to know if it's possible to make something that complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Schmidt says non-alcoholic wine is just grape juice. That's not true.
Oh God, no.
I understand why that like makes sense in a way, but it isn't true because we have non-alcoholic wine. Non-alcoholic wine is just non-alcoholic wine. Yeah. They make it. It's just a different process of getting rid of fermentation and whatnot. Grape juice is like literally a separate thing.
You take grapes and you squish them.
Yeah, you can literally just because non-alcoholic wine exists and isn't grape juice. It's one of those annoying things where that's just not true.
Yeah. So Kaladin.
Yeah.
He's got his
we're in a Kaladin chapter.
1,000 men, I think. He's got a whole battalion. That he's like, God, I'm gonna have to figure out how to fucking pull these people together.
Oh, actually, before we move on, I want to get to this question. Christian Rapper says, can you soulcast a live person into another thing? Do you think that's possible?
Well, I was gonna say, like, it depends on if you think you can soulcast living material. But in this world, it seems like all things are living.
Yeah.
Right?
Boats have thoughts.
Because, boats have thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like...
Like Abria Iyengar in that actual play where she was the she played the pirate ship.
Which and you could make the argument that like wood was a living thing, so it like still retains its like sentience. But like I feel like are rocks also like a living thing? Like is metal also living? Like I don't really know. So we go based on the assumption that everything in this world is like kind of alive in some way. I think yes, you would be able to soul cast a person into something else.
I was gonna say that I have the easy answer, but I have the even easier answer. Of course you can. That's how Jasnah kills those 3 guys.
Does she turn them into like fire, or does she just like set the guy on fire?
My first argument was gonna be that since Jasnah soul casted Shallan's blood to save her life, you have to be able to soul cast living people, right? But she also killed the 3 people, so yeah. Underscores, thank you for that super chat. British Army still gets an alcohol ration, at least they did in the 2000s.
Awesome.
I
love that
for them. Judah Canizares,
thank
you for that super chat. Jasnah soul cast people into death.
Yeah, it is one of those things, though, where did Jasnah turn the dude into fire, or did she light him on fire?
No, but didn't she turn one of them into, like, crystal or something?
Yeah, but, so did she change a dude into crystal, or did she encase him in crystal?
No, because she had to change him into the crystal, because otherwise, what did she soul cast into the crystal?
The air molecules around him?
I don't think that you can soul cast air.
I don't know. And this is what I'm saying. I have no idea, but based on the information I have, I'm going to say yes, you can soul cast people into other things.
So Kaladin.
Although, do you have to go to Shadesmar and try and convince somebody to be something else? Like, if I were to go to Shadesmar and talk to you, be like, you are actually a horse.
I don't
and you'd be
think
like, no,
that
I'm not
she goes to
horse.
Shadesmar every time she soul casts.
Yeah, I think that would be
I think that's like early on stuff. I think that the more control you get over it, the more you can just make things do that. I might be wrong, though.
I don't know.
Kaladin is hanging out through a high storm. It ends, and they all get shaved. Rock is still doing... Rock's going to need to teach some other people how to shave, because there's 1,000 men under Kaladin now, and Rock simply cannot shave 1,000 men in a row.
Yeah.
His hands will cramp.
Well, he's also the cook. Like, Rock's going to be so busy.
I know. Rock's got a lot on his plate, but he is hiring more cooks.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness. And so they're basically just like talking about logistics a lot in this chapter.
Yeah, and guarding Dalinar.
Yeah.
And talking about like how, like a bunch of the other bridgemen stayed, even though they don't seem to have interest in like training or whatever. So Teft is in charge of training.
Yeah.
Trying to like bring them together as like a cohesive battalion, I guess.
Sigil, Rock, Teft, Moash, and Scar are going to be lieutenants, which is important because they shouldn't be because they're dark eyes. But he was like, we need a chain of command on our side.
Yeah, exactly.
Sigil's going to be the clerk because he can read glyphs.
Which, okay, I'm not going to lie. I am very confused at the difference between glyphs and writing. But
we did this. We did this in book 1.
I know, but now I'm confused again. We had this whole
conversation in book 1. And chat was like, no, glyphs aren't reading. And I was like, yes, it is. It's the same thing. It is just semantics, and we've gone around this merry-go-round.
I'm just very confused as to what they are and what the differences are in this book. I don't think that the books have been very clear on that, and so I'm just kind of like, all right, sure, whatever you say, you can read. You read, I guess.
They are the same thing, fundamentally, and they are only different.
Because
if you say they're different.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's kind of... Yeah. I'm just feeling like I don't understand.
The idea that, like, reading kanji is reading glyphs, but reading the Latin alphabet is reading letters, and reading Sanskrit is reading something else, is a distinction that you can only make if you want to. But at the end of the day, it is turning a visual stimuli of writing into words in your head.
Yeah,
it is the exact same thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But there is quite literally no difference between reading kanji and reading letters that make up words.
Yeah.
Because you can look at the shape of a word and read it.
Yeah.
It's just a glyph that's been spread out.
Yeah. Linus, thank you for that super chat. Sigil also isn't a Lethi, only the Lethi word. That's true. And that's why he can read the glyphs.
No, because Kaladin can also read glyphs.
And also,
and is a Lethi. and is just not telling people because they would think he's weird.
Yeah.
Kaladin is filled with so many insecurities, it's crazy.
I'm assuming that he learned because he had to for surgery stuff, but I don't fucking know. Anyways, they go get tattoos. They're like, hey, you know what? Bridge 4 together strong. And also half of them have brands on their foreheads. So they cover them up with tattoos. Very fun. I actually did look at this picture in the book.
Yeah.
Because it like shows like what the different like symbols are and like what they mean. So what the tattoo looks like. Thought it was rad. Unfortunately, Kaladin can't get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he takes in Stormlight, his body heals itself and like literally rejects the ink. So he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll figure this out later. So he's still got a slave brand on his face. But I was saying he could literally like cut his forehead skin off and then take in Stormlight and it would heal and the brand would be gone. So I wonder if he does that at some point.
Yeah, just like a full like scalping.
Yeah, because the healing wouldn't heal the scars in place. They would just grow new
You would have
skin.
to go all the way to the bone. It would suck. It would really suck.
Or you just like burn your whole forehead.
And then just have a
and then it heals.
Scarred forehead that doesn't no
and then it heals.
Here's the thing. So the scar is so old that if you burned your forehead, it would heal back to this scar.
Why? What would it take the pattern that was there originally, or would it take your DNA and be like, this is what a forehead looks like and heal your forehead? Like, can the healing powers know what your forehead looked like beforehand? Or do you get, like, baby forehead? Can you heal your wrinkles away?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you might be able to.
Johnny Coleman, thank you for that super chat. Jasnah turned that one actively attacking into fire. She turned the one who had stumbled. Yeah, we know. You want to be free, be free. Yeah. We talked through this already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes there's a delay with the live stream, but... Yeah, I guess they literally turned it into a thing, so people can be soulcast.
Yeah, I love this tattoo moment. I really do. I think that all of them getting it is great. I think the freedom, but also the Bridge 4 glyph is really cool.
Yeah, it looks sick.
I think the emotions of this moment really work, and everybody, including Shen, sitting down for this was really cool.
Yeah. Fascinating. I'm so curious about Shen. Because I asked you, I was like, do you think he is a dull form spy, or do you think he's actually like a parchment?
I'm a little bit. I'm convinced that he's a spy now, and here's the reason why. If he was in slave mode, he wouldn't have enough connection to do it. But the dull mode does. I love that they're basically Transformers. Robots in disguise. If he's in slave mode, he would only do it if he was told to, because he wouldn't have any thoughts of his own. So he must be in dull mode. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a spy, right? But it definitely leans that way.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that he's got to be a spy as well, because I just think that, like, that is more interesting.
Yeah.
Because him just being in slave mode means that he has no agency or ability to, like, think for himself as far as we know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just think that him being an actual spy is more interesting, and also because of his timing, his arrival to the army, right? I'm sure that they were like, hey, we need like someone in the bridge crews, like they've been like putting parshmen everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super curious to see where that leads, because I definitely think he's a spy.
I don't know that he's a spy, or I don't know that he will end up being a spy.
Sure.
He might be a spy now. I think that might turn around.
Or he might be like, hey, Eshonai, you're trying to talk to Dalinar, you should probably talk to Kaladin.
Yeah. And we already know, like, because, you know, Kaladin has already expressed kind of his reluctance around fighting the Parshendi, right? So if Shen experiences that reluctance and is able to bring that back to Eshonai, it might be a way to end the war.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame the Alethi for at all anymore.
For what? The war?
The war. And the war going the way that it did. The Parshendi wanted it to happen, and they made it happen. It's like Jasnah all over again, right? You went in, you deliberately went to that alley to murder those guys, and now the Parshendi are the same way. It's like you did this to do this was the outcome. You didn't intend it for it to go as long, but it was the outcome that you were going for. So this really is on you.
Yeah.
We did this on purpose to get the reaction that we got. How dare they respond in the way we wanted them to? It's just such
it's how dare they keep responding this way. They literally we misunderestimated the fucking Alethi. We thought they'd get bored of war, but no, that's all that they do. They war. The Alethi, they war.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they go to see the quartermaster to get uniforms, which is cool. I like the uniforms.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been spoiled on what that looks like. I feel like that art piece that we saw at Gen Con.
The blue coats.
The woman, there's like I don't think this is a character from the books. It might be, but this is the nice thing about it being TTRPG art is I just assumed it was a character for the TTRPG. Is like a black woman in like that blue suit. And so that TTRPG art, I think that is the uniform that Kaladin's wearing.
Nice. I mean, yeah, that's slick.
Sick art. And so I really like that. I love that they want to be... I feel like they need better branding. I get that they all feel very connected to Bridge 4, but there's going to be a point where, like, you guys haven't been on a bridge in a while. You know what I mean? Like...
Sure, but, like a sports team that is, like... I don't know, Calgary
Guys,
Flames.
This isn't a sports book.
But the Flames don't, like, they're not on fire. They're just called a thing.
I know. I just feel like there's, like, I don't know. There's going to be a certain point where you have a bunch of people running around in Bridge 4 that have been trained by Bridge 4 who have never touched a bridge in their life. And you're going to be like, yeah, I'm a member of Bridge 4.
Why? They're all bridgemen, I thought. Or no, I guess he gets some soldiers in the 1,000 and then the rest are bridgemen.
There's going to be a point where they have to get new people in.
Right.
And then it's like, well, why you're having to explain to people that you're Bridge 4, but you're not a bridge crew?
Maybe
you're actually
training will just be carrying bridges.
I don't think so.
Just for that strength and shoulder mobility. I don't know. It's just like a sports name. It's a team name. It's like a...
Guys, this is not a sports book.
I'm not saying this is a sport, but I'm just saying it's like calling yourself, like, it's like me calling my channel Claris Polaris. I'm not a North Star.
Again, but the Claris Polaris is a brand.
Yeah, it's branding.
They want badges. What you do. That fits what you do. They are not a bridge crew.
I have nothing to do with the North Star.
Okay, but here's the problem. Dalinar's army is still going to use bridges, right? There are still going to be bridges used in their war.
By the Chulls, yeah.
Well, no, but there are people who run those bridges. The people who run those bridges are an actual bridge crew that you now can't have a Bridge 4. So now the actual bridges in Dalinar's army from now on will go 1, 2, 3, 5 because Bridge 4 is a battalion of people.
They don't have a bridge crew.
Yes,
they have Chulls that pull it, and they have someone that lowers the bridge.
There is a team of people that work with those Chulls to get those bridges down. That are protected by the thing. That is the bridge crew.
You're literally upset that Bridge 4 is their team name, and so the actual bridge that is number 4.
I'm saying that I feel like they could have embraced a branding here that would have been
more inclusive.
No, what the fuck else are they
gonna be?
I don't know, like the Stormblessed Battalion. That would have been cool.
No, I'm sorry. That's so silly. Judah, thank you for that super chat. Calling the sports is the book's science bit. Oh my god. Yeah, we're not getting into that again. Underscore, thank you for that super chat. Military units do the same thing for the history of the unit. Oh, the history of the unit is what's important. We still have cavalry units.
Yeah, but you have a modern name for it. Right? Like, there's a modern name, and then there's the, like, behind-the-scenes name. I feel like they need to come up with a name for the battalion that isn't Bridge 4, because Bridge 4 is 30 guys.
No, it's still cavalry.
I think being like, hey, all of you other bridge crews, you're now Bridge 4 too, is way too confusing. You need to have... Bridge 4 is, like, their private thing, and then their public thing is, like... a thing.
I'm sorry, this is so silly.
I know, it's so dumb. I just was like, they were like really embracing, they were like, we want to put Bridge 4 on our uniforms. And I was like, that's a weird thing to run around with on your arms.
It's like having, it's a symbol, it's a glyph, it's a drawing. They're like, this is my logo.
Okay, but...
It just happens to mean Bridge 4 because Bridge 4 is where they all came together.
I don't know. If they were like, do you guys want to be called the Cobalt Guard? I would have taken that. That's a sick fucking name.
But that already exists.
No, that's who they are now. They've taken over that role.
Yeah, but they weren't the Cobalt Guard. They're like, no, we're Bridge 4. We're something different. We're something more.
But only like 30 of them are Bridge 4, right? And so the larger name of the 1,000-people battalion is not Bridge 4. That should be something else. They should get a name for like the other people who weren't there for the Bridge 4 part.
Just because you have to put new branding and logos and names on every single project that we do doesn't mean that normal people do. You're like, oh my gosh, I have a new podcast and it's going to be called this. It's not going to be called Nerdy Nightly. No. It's going to be something totally different. Also, I have this like idea for a stream and we're going to totally call it and brand it this, and it's going to have this separate logo. Oh, and then also we're going to do this whole entire event that's going to be like related to Roleplay Relay, but it's going to have its own name and branding and logo and color scheme.
It's cool. It's a cool name.
People don't know.
I nailed the branding. The logo looks sick.
Oh my god.
I don't know what you're complaining about.
We are going to have way too many fucking sub-brands of Nerdy Nightly.
No, there's one sub-brand. There's two sub-brands. A show having a title is not a sub-brand. There's Claris Polaris and there's Roleplay Relay. Those are the only sub-brands.
Then you have Nerdy Daily, which is a sub-brand of
That's just a channel.
Nerdy
That's
Nightly.
not a brand. It's just a channel.
And then we have your podcast that you're working on that is part of Roleplay Relay, but it has its own name and its own brand and its own logo that you're designing. You're like, I want it to have a logo.
It's just the name of the show. It's not a brand.
Nerdy Nightly, who is going to do a Roleplay Relay event, which is then going to be called this. So there's 3 levels of branding.
The show has a title. Astral Dusk is the title. I'm not going to call everything under Roleplay Relay. That gets confusing real quick. We called this Candela show Circle of the Emerald Veil. We didn't call it Roleplay Relay.
I'm just going to have so many copywritten things.
You know what? Fine, I'll stop naming things. We'll just call everything Nerdy Nightly and people will be so fucking... Welcome to the Nerdy Nightly book show.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? That's another one. We have the Nerdy Wordy Book Club as a subset of the Nerdy Nightly.
The Nerdy Wordy Book Club's a great title.
It is. I'm not arguing with you that it's not good. I'm just saying that you are insane. And I love it about you, but goddamn, nobody else brands things the way that you are like...
Nobody else has as many things going on as we do. Everyone else says one thing. We do like 12. And... yeah, they all have to have different names so that people know what they are. I feel like I'm really good at giving things names that explain what the thing is.
Okay, so then Bridge 4
the
should
Nerdy
be
Wordy
Bridge
Book Club
4.
is wordy because it's a 3-hour show. So then, if it was just the Nerdy Book Club, it would be an hour-long podcast.
Then think of Bridge 4 as Nerdy Nightly, right? Mm-hmm. And then they can have subsects underneath that. They've got a captain, they've got a lieutenant, they've probably got like their cooking crew or whatever. Like that's all still part.
Those are just people.
Yeah, that's part of the Nerdy Nightly brand, the Bridge 4 brand, and then you've got the other things underneath of it.
Yeah, I'm saying that like Bridge 4 there should be a sub-brand for the 1,000 people that isn't Bridge 4. That isn't just former Bridgemen. I think they need a battalion name.
All right.
Bring me Battalion Bridge 4 is a weird thing to say.
What?
Like if Dalinar is like, hey, I need you guys to get Battalion Bridge 4 in motion. That's not a great name. As
opposed to get the Cobalt Guard in motion? Like what's the difference?
That's a sick fucking name.
You're just calling it different things. All right. Anyways, they get badges and tattoos because fucking branding. Okay. Chapter 3 is called Pattern. Diane, thank you for that super chat. My wife was on a Signet team called...
Sigint team called Spank Boy? I don't know what Sigint is.
I have no idea what that is either, but Spank Boy is a very funny branding choice. Chapter 3 is called Pattern. We are halfway through this podcast, and we are 2 chapters in. Classic.
The cooks in Bridge 4 call themselves Bridge Fork.
Oh my god.
Wait, now I want that shirt. I want a Bridge Fork shirt, and it's just Rock making stew.
Oh my god. We need a shirt that just says, I am a shirt.
That's actually very funny.
Right. Yeah, so Shallan's reading and trying to discover more about this Pattern, which is what they're calling it, because Jasnah was like, just think about it. You might be the first person in history. Like, this might be your magnum opus, your first important work. Okay, so fucking take notes. She's just writing down everything. She's trying to like talk to Pattern, who like can kind of understand some weird abstract concepts, but then can't understand like eating.
Like early Syl.
Yeah. But different, which is why I loved it. I loved it, like, Syl and Pattern actually feel, like, distinctly different as spren and as characters.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore the fucking way that Kate Redding reads for Pattern. They're like, no, it's the like, I just feel like that is...
Oh, it's so ET coded.
The best. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Underscore the for that super chat. Battalions, companies, and platoons will all have unique names they call themselves. See? There you go. So they can have Bridge 4.
All I'm saying is that they should all have unique names. Judah Canizares says, take a shot every time Pattern hums.
We'd be dead.
No, it's only like 3 times. That's not bad. Depends. In a week? I can do 3 shots a week.
A week?
Pattern only hummed like 3 times this week in the reading.
No, wrong. I'm so sorry. I feel like I could flip through the book and be like, there's a hum, there's a hum, there's a hum. Like,
no, I love Pattern. I love that the spren feel fundamentally different.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, I love the way they're set up. I think it's really smart. I think it's a lot of really cool character stuff within these. The way Pattern moves through the world is so interesting and magical, and it's very fantasy, but in a way that feels very real to them. And I think it's really smart.
And we also see very briefly Jasnah's own spren.
Yeah,
she's just like a little dude.
Yeah, and so Jasnah
just a little guy.
So that we realize that this is the bonded spren of
Shallan. Who is one of the 10 Radiance, which is a different one than Jasnah is.
Jasnah was hoping that they would be the same because it'd be easier, but they're different. So they can't. Jasnah can't teach her everything she knows, and so much like Daggerheart, if you've ever played Daggerheart, the 10 forms of the 10 Knights Orders of Radiance, each have access to 2 of the 10 ability trees.
Yeah.
And they overlap with one another. Which is very similar to Daggerheart's system. And I wonder how much that's going to make the Cosmere RPG ability trees similar to the Daggerheart ones.
Yeah.
And honestly, right now you could do a Cosmere RPG thing, or a Stormlight RPG thing, in Daggerheart, and just call those the...
That's true. That could be very fun.
But I found that interesting. And so there are 10 Orders of Knights Radiant that share 10 abilities. And Shallan and Jasnah share 1, but then they both have a power that is different. Interesting. I really like the concept. I think that it does give the Knights Radiant a much more variety. I think a lot of fantasy things, the way that they do it is it's like, well, they all have a base set of powers, and then the 10 things will each have one thing they're good at. But having it be that there is some level of base set of powers, but there's these shared abilities can really create some like really cool, unique builds for people where they're very similar in the way that they fight, but they have this one thing that's very different. I have a feeling that Kaladin and Szeth also share one thing, but not both. I find it really fascinating, especially coming out of this chapter, right? That Szeth doesn't seem to have a spren. And what does that mean? Right? Or at least Szeth doesn't acknowledge spren. And that might be a cultural thing. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I still have COVID, so I'm still have a little bit of a cough. I think the spren of it all is really fascinating to me. I think I really want to know what's going on with Szeth's spren. But we'll find out later. So yeah, the shared surge. So I thought surge binding was one of the 10 powers. All of the 10 powers are called surge bindings, and the surge that is shared between Shallan and Jasnah is soul casting. The one that Shallan has that Jasnah doesn't have is light bringing or something. And yeah, so they just kind of have a really cool conversation. This chapter's great. Thank you for the commission, and we reacted to this. If you want to go have longer thoughts about this one chapter, we did that. It was rad. And yeah, chapter 4, the Taker of Secrets. Oh, we also learned that Shallan's spren is a lie spren. It's a little liar.
A cryptic.
It's a cute little liar. And the liars are the opposite of the honor spren.
They don't
so
like
Shallan
one
and
another.
Pattern on sight. You know what I mean? They're
Just gonna kill each other. Just gonna fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be
wrestle.
great. I can't wait to watch them wrestle. I don't know if you can wrestle Pattern since he is the floor, but whatever. We'll figure it out later.
Can Pattern like move onto people and have them like yeah. So Pattern just moves on to Syl and is like, I got you.
Ooh, I don't think he can move on to another spren.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I have a feeling he can move on to people, but not other spren.
Interesting. What kind of spren do you think Jasnah had?
Knowledge spren, maybe? Or like...
We don't know what her other like power was, so I feel like it's hard to like know.
Yeah.
But it was like a little guy in a little suit, right?
Just a little... It's just Jiminy Cricket.
That's kind of what I pictured. Or I pictured Alistair from Hazbin Hotel.
Oh.
I don't know why. But that's
okay.
Yeah.
Chapter 4. Dalinar. Yeah. Yeah. So chapter 4, Dalinar is having another vision. He's like hanging out on the Pure Lake, running. They're looking for something. They see a giant building made of obsidian in the middle of the Pure Lake, which is very cool. Out of onyx. And
I don't know if it is the Pure Lake. Like he says it might be. I feel like it's not.
Sure, maybe it isn't. As far as we know, that's the best guess that we have.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know of any other place that sounds like this, so...
Well, it said like shallow, warm waters, and like the ocean where the like islands are that move is like pretty warm waters. I don't know. I don't know. He says he thinks it's a pure lake, but I feel like how would this building be in the pure lake when it's so shallow and you can maybe the pure lake is massive. Maybe I'm just like misunderstanding
I don't think this
the size
building
of it.
exists anymore.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, wouldn't the bottom of the Pure Lake then just be like fucking obsidian, jagged pieces everywhere?
Depends on how it was destroyed.
Yeah, maybe it was soul cast into sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there is a magic in this world that does that.
That is fair.
Then they run into a Knight's Radiant. And then they get attacked by a thunderclast, which grows out of the ground in the most video game way possible.
Very cool.
I'm surprised there isn't a Stormlight Archive video game, honestly, given the way that these books play out. I'm
That's coming.
Like genuinely shocked that like CD Projekt Red hasn't been like, it'd be great. This.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think if you wanted to tell the story somehow, video game might be the best way to do it.
Yeah. But would you do more of an open world or like a set story?
No. Like
a Last of Us.
Yeah. Or like I'm thinking more like Yeah, it's tough, right? Because like open worlds are so popular right now, but you can't really open world this.
If you're trying
it has
to
to be
tell
like
this story,
missions. Yeah. A Souls-like would be sick, but I don't know how you would do a Souls-like in this world, given that it's like bridge runs and stuff like that. I would do it more like the old. This is gonna sound weird, but the old Lord of the Rings Two Towers game was a really good example of how I think that this would work structure-wise. It would be a Jedi Survivor style game. No, that's still too open world.
But Survivor was definitely more open world than Fallen Order, so
maybe more like Fallen Order.
To Fallen Order.
Yeah.
No, I think it'd be sick.
Mistborn would be a good open world game.
Yes, 100%.
Sweet and Savory don't do bridge runs, and I mean like a game where you actually tell the story, right? I think that you could adapt this story into a video game in a really fun way.
Yeah.
And so the bridge runs would be a part of it just because that's a part of...
Like having the mini games of the dreams, and playing through them.
And that's how you get
fun.
new powers.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Ernest,
God of War, yes.
Yeah.
That's the right pull.
There
you would
go.
do it like the God of War games, the new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually going to take a pee break. Talk about Dalinar's dream. Or talk about Navani.
Talk about... Oh, great. All right, cool. Where were we? We got distracted by video games. He sees this like cool vision. I feel like I knew it was a thunderclast as soon as it like pulled up. I was like, it's got to be that. It can't be anything else. Dalinar tries to like speak out loud while he's having his visions so that what he's saying can be recorded and then possibly translated or cross-referenced to like decipher this language, which is absolutely fucking bonkers. But I do love that it's not just like very clear and cut and dry. They have to do some interpreting of things, which is very cool. Also, the fact that the spren was like evil and like summoned a thunderclast. Like thunderclasts are not spren, I don't think. But like the spren could... It's like thunderclasts are like spren bodyguards? I don't know. I don't know what kind of spren it is they were even chasing. But I think they did say like red eyes, and then who is it that mentioned the like red lightning spren? I think Syl mentioned it, that it was like bad. So I wonder if the Voidbringers have their own spren? I don't know. Johnny Clement, thank you for that super chat. Baldur's Gate game after the RPG releases. Yeah, Baldur's Gate is also though so very open world in certain ways. Like I think that you could do Baldur's Gate similar, but I also like I'm only this far into book 2, so the scale of the world is definitely something that I'm not totally I don't have a full grasp on yet. If you ever see someone narrating everything they're doing, this is why. Yes, they're actually, it's a high storm and they're having a vision. Yeah. So Dalinar is making a proclamation to the High Princes that he's kind of like he leaked his own content so that they could get used to the idea before he like actually like officially announced it. And then he takes a little nappy nap and wakes up to this scratches on the wall, which say 62 days death follows, which seems like very bad.
But is it death follows?
Or is it broken? Whatever the girl says.
I love that
girl's
Dalinar...
like, these glyphs are so terrible.
Here's the thing about this prophecy. Is that Dalinar thinks he wrote it.
What?
Dalinar thinks he himself wrote it, right?
Really?
Yeah, that's what he says in the book.
Oh, I missed that.
He's pretty sure that he wrote it himself. And Dalinar can't read. So there's a really good chance that he fucked up.
Yeah? Okay. Huh.
You know what I mean? There's a really good chance that the glyph is wrong.
Well, yeah, because they do say that it's a badly written glyph.
And it could mean broken. And so...
I don't remember him saying that he thinks that he wrote it, but him being the one to write it actually is very interesting.
Yeah, no, he says like because he's pretty sure that he wrote it himself.
Huh. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's in the book.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not in this chapter. No, it's later on.
Gotcha.
But he yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that is fair. Like, he doesn't know how to write, so...
I think that it means something else. I don't think it's just that death follows. I think that there's, like,
death
breaking
spren.
or broken or... I have a feeling that there is... I just don't think that, like, in 62 days everyone dies is what is happening here.
Sure, yeah.
I just think that it's more complicated than that. And I think that it is because they misinterpret it that things go wrong.
Linus, thank you for the super chat. Do you think he wrote it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
somehow.
I think so I think that makes sense. He's speaking in other languages in his like visions, so I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility that he like woke up shortly after one of these visions and had like scribbled something on the wall.
No, I think that him in the future wrote it.
What?
I think that 62 days from now, Dalinar writes this glyph.
So you think that they can time travel now?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I think that somehow through the cognitive realm or the spiritual realm, he was able to reach back and write this on the wall, his future self.
All right, sure.
And I think that
I
the
think
reason why it
could have
looks...
written it.
But it's Dalinar doing it through the spren, yeah. I think... Okay, here's what I think happens. I think that Dalinar sees this glyph, and the reason why it looks bad is because he's drawing it from the memory of seeing it here. In the future, boom, back to the past.
Okay. I felt like there definitely could have been like a spren who did it, because Syl was able to interact with things in the world, like the leaf. And so if there was like a stronger spren that had been there for a while, that it would be able to like scratch a message into...
Well, no, it's chalk.
I thought it was like a rock that was like scraped.
I mean, they find the little white... Maybe it's not exactly chalk, but they find the little white thing that was used to write it on the floor, right?
Oh, okay.
Whatever that rock is. I'm saying chalk because it's the most, like, real-world equivalent, but...
Yeah, I just think that, like, if the spren are returning in the way that, like, Syl is and Pattern is and whatnot, and there are very clearly lots of people who can be potentially Knights Radiant. Like, you know, that is becoming a lot more commonplace than I thought it would. It stands to reason that there's a spren in the camp who belongs to some, like, who's partnered with somebody, and the spren has knowledge that they're trying to share, but... Okay,
but here is... the reality of the situation. If you can see the future, then time travel already exists in this world. Right? And so in order for someone to... If you can see the future, if you can accurately see what is going to happen in the future down to 62 days, time travel already exists. So, it stands to reason that time travel backwards would exist. In order for this statement on the wall to be true, time travel already exists in this world. You cannot see the future without time travel. It may not be physical time travel, but there is still a form of time travel going on in the world. All prophecies involve time travel. And once you introduce prophecy into your world, time travel already exists in order for someone to be able to see the future. Because what you're implying is that one of two things is true. Either you are able to send your mind, your like cognition or your spirit forward and backwards through time, or... like some people believe, time exists on a flat plane and all time happens simultaneously, and it is possible to be somewhere else on that time stream because it is all simultaneous.
Yeah.
But in order for you to be able to see the future, time travel exists.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, technically the cognitive realm is something like that theory of time where everything exists all at the same time. Yes. Like, I wonder if the cognitive realm is like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. We'll probably get there. Chapter 5 is...
Troika, I wanted to just get this.
Sure.
Troika says, it depends on if it's true precognition or if it's foundation-style psychohistory prediction. Sure. If you're guessing at the future about what's going to happen, then time travel doesn't exist, right? But if you are saying that, like, in 62 days this is going to happen, then time travel exists. That just... And maybe not on a level where everybody can do it, right? But, like, if a god can see the future, then that god can travel through time.
Yeah.
And so time travel exists, not at every level, and it's not a learnable skill, but time travel rarely is a learnable skill in most fantasy, right? But, like, if a god can see the future, that god can travel through time. Therefore, time travel exists.
Well, and we don't know what the, like, 10 powers are yet, right? And, like, time manipulation might be one of them.
Yeah.
Like, because what we know that you can, like, surge bind and, like, change things into other things. There's, like, you can manipulate gravity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Like, that's kind of all that we know about.
No, Shallan can light cast.
Oh, the light. Yeah, light casting. Okay, so there's 3.
I'm assuming that the flight is under gravity, but it seemed like all the Knights Radiant could fly, so that might just be like one of the like base powers.
Why do you think all the Knights Radiant can fly? Because we only saw like
we only
two
see
of
the
them.
ones. Yeah. So it might be one order that comes down in that vision. That's right. They might be one order of Knights Radiant. That's
Here's
fair.
the thing: the flying thing seems so tied into like gravity that like I don't know. But yeah, that could be a thing.
But it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Changing gravity is not the same as flight. And Bryce says weather forecasting isn't time travel. Weather forecasting isn't accurate. So
yeah, that's true.
that like if you found me a meteorologist who is 100% accurate all the time, then time travel exists, right? But they aren't because they're guessing. They're doing really good guesswork, and that's not time travel. Putting together an algorithmic model that will predict when asteroid will probably fly by Earth isn't time travel.
So there definitely.
But if you wake up one morning and go, there's going to be an asteroid that flies by today, and then it does, then there's something metaphysical going on that is allowing you to travel through time magically.
Well, and they like have these people who predict high storms, so maybe there was a whole Night Radiant segment that did the high storm predictions.
Well, but they're also not right all the time, right?
They're not anymore.
They
maybe used to be.
If you can state to the day when an event that nobody knows is going to occur is going to occur. This isn't them guessing that death comes in 62 days. They're saying in 62 days, a thing that you cannot foresee is going to happen, then you are time traveling. At the very least on a mental level, there is time travel going on. That is just that has to be true, right? Mm-hmm. In order for precognition to exist, some level of time travel has to be possible within the world.
Yeah.
Or else it's guessing. But this seems like in 62 days specifically something is going to happen. We know that because Navani's journal tells us that something happens in 62 days.
That's also true. Yeah.
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 Chapter 5, Ideals. Dalinar puts out his proclamation because he speeds along based on the message about the gem hearts all now belong to the king, so fuck you and your high princes, and he's going to distribute them to the people that he thinks are worthy, and y'all are going to have to work together to get them, and if you don't, well, then you're not going to get any gem hearts.
Christian Rapper says, high storm is just storms traveling around the world. That's easy to predict, except that apparently the Parshendi in storm form can call them, so no. No.
Incorrect.
When people have the magical ability to call high storms when they want, it's no longer a predictable thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are going into a communist Alethkar, where wealth is shared, and people are being forced to work together by the government. How do you feel about communism, Clarus?
Honestly, people hate it. I think there's merit to it.
Interesting. Okay, that's your spiciest take yet.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Honestly, like, I feel like I'm a socialist.
Oh, really?
Definitely not like a communist. I think communism definitely has some downsides that we've seen in practice, like, don't really work the way that we would like to believe that they would work. But socialism seems pretty good.
I am an avid late-stage capitalist.
That is the funniest thing you've ever said. Good joke.
Thanks. You're welcome. Yeah. Chapter 5, Ideals. Kaladin. This one, the Navani thing here is interesting. It said the sign on the wall proposed a greater danger even than its deadline. To foresee the future is of the Voidbringers.
Yeah.
Which means that Voidbringers time travel.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You ain't got no capital, nerdy. Fuck you. People paid me money to listen to this book, okay? I have dollars. I'm gonna be able to pay my rent this month, okay?
Hell yeah, let's go.
If being able to afford rent in 2024 isn't capitalism, I don't know what is.
Especially in Toronto.
My favorite thing when guys are like, so what's your like stock portfolio look like? And I'm like, I don't have one of those.
No, don't have one of those.
I don't have extra money.
Don't even know what that looks like.
If I have extra money, I put it into shows to entertain people. I don't save up for me. I'm just trying to make stuff to entertain you fucks.
We're like, we have money? All right. Roleplay relay. 20 grand spent to make a full 173-hour, week-long 24/7 stream happen.
I just want to make people laugh. I spend all of my money to make other people happy. I work all day, every day, in the hopes that other people enjoy some of it.
That's fair.
And then they don't. Like, what is my life?
I mean, some of these fucks enjoy it.
They love you. So Kaladin...
this would be far less interesting if it was just me.
I disagree. You're really hot. Bridge
That's
4...
not interesting?
I find you very interesting.
Because you find me hot? And nothing else?
Well, no, for many, many reasons.
Sure.
Dan Webb, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us over on Twitch. That's right, we're on both services.
What?
Linus, thank you for that super chat.
Super chat.
The shows is mostly why I commission stuff, to be honest.
Great. You know what? Just know that your dollars are going into the absolutely unhinged ideas that we somehow bring to life on this channel.
Yes. I have bad ideas, and Clarus makes them happen.
I paid $50 to hear you laugh at I Am a Stick.
Yeah, that's true. Also, if you're missing Astral Dusk, so am I. We were gonna try and record today. I'm still testing positive for COVID. Clarus had it last week, and I've had it this week. So, unfortunately, we can't bring Astral Dusk back. I don't want to do digital games with the boys. So, the Astral Dusk will return when I will no longer get my friends sick. Just not interested in passing it around.
Yeah.
Which has been tough. I haven't been to the gym. I want to work out. Anyway. Let's get into Kaladin. Boy, that'd be fun.
Jesus Christ.
What? He's very fit.
Jesus Christ.
Syl is really upset that Kaladin doesn't laugh anymore.
Well, that he just like fake laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he just pretends all the time. And she's like, but what if you like laughed for real? And he's like, I can't do that. I'm too moody. I'm too emo boy. I'm too responsible for that shit.
Loadable, thank you for that super chat to help make you laugh. I hope some of this makes you laugh.
Thank you so much.
I hope me yelling about this not being a sports book made somebody laugh.
I'm sure it made at least one person laugh.
If you've been coming for 62 days, you might want to see the doctor. You've never met a 13-year-old boy.
Jesus Christ. All right.
So they go to a meeting, and Dalinar is like, I need you to stay in the room. I need you to listen in on this. And we basically get what Dalinar's plan is, which is mostly to have his son beat the shit out of all the shard bearers.
Which is a great plan. Honestly, I am so here for this. Like, I was like, oh, this plan is going to be, like, really heady. And, there's going to be a lot here. No, it's basically, like, the threat of Adolin possibly stealing their fucking shards.
Not possibly. The goal is to do it.
Well, yeah, the goal is to do it at least once so that they know that they're fucking serious. But Adolin is so happy. Like, he's like, wait a second. I get to fight people, like, for reals, like, not just, like, the stupid, like, play battles that I've been doing, but, like, actually, like, if people talk shit about you, I can challenge them to duels, and they have to, yes, let me at them. Put me in, coach. I'm so ready. I loved it. This moment made me laugh. It was great.
I'm excited for the Adolin fights. I am a little worried that they're going to be rigged against him somehow. Like, I think that that's going to, somehow keeping the fights fair is going to be tough. And
I mean, they're usually witnessed by a huge crowd of people. Cheating would be tough.
I don't know. Considering that Gavilar's shard plate was messed with without anyone noticing, I'm just a little worried.
Oh, they're definitely going to be like on top of that. And here's the thing. I think that obviously we know Sadeas has infiltrated like Dalinar's people, but Dalinar knows this. Right, and he's got Navani on his side. Like, they're not just gonna trust any old people. They're gonna be fucking triple checking shit. I am so excited for for Adolin to just beat the shit out of the other High Princes.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. It's gonna be fun. Judah, thank you for that super chat. It's a very Dalinar and Adolin plan. It's great. Yeah.
Hell yeah, no, it's awesome.
It's really like a Adolin Navani plan. I feel like Dalinar happens to be part of it.
Dalinar's like, I gotta do the politicking. I'm really bad at that. So
let your wife do it, or let your sister-in-law do it.
Same thing. Well, they're not married. You're right. But I also love that we got this meeting from Kaladin's perspective, because he observes that Dalinar is the one that they treat like the king, that Elhokar is just kind of a fucking, like, paranoid wet noodle. Yeah. But also, I love that Kaladin made a good impression on Elhokar, by being like, oh, you can't get in on the balcony? Put 2 people out there, because that's where I'd get in. And Elhokar's like, yes, good. I like
Because
this
Kaladin's like,
one.
if I have superpowers, and obviously Elhokar and Dalinar don't know this, but he's like, if I have superpowers, there's a good chance somebody else has superpowers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also, like, Kaladin being like, oh god, Adolin is just a fucking cocky, spoiled brat.
He's not wrong.
But he did save that one girl, so, like, I'm trying to keep that into perspective as well. But he was just, like, really cocky. And I really hope that Adolin and Kaladin fight. Like, they, like...
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I don't think they will.
I don't see a way for it to happen either.
I think that both of them have too much. I think the only reason it would happen is if it is somehow because of Amaram. Like, if Amaram's present leads to it, I could see it happening. But I feel like they both respect the military structure under Dalinar too much right now to do that.
I think it'd be a friendly competition. You know what I mean?
Oh, like a sparring match.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
That's
okay,
what
okay.
I meant. Not that they would fight, like, to actually hurt one another.
I don't see that happening until after Dalinar and Adolin are aware that he's a Radiant. Because I could see Adolin being like, if I'm going to have to fight Radiance in the future,
then
I need to train against a Radiant.
You. Yeah, 100%.
Like, I could see them training.
Making out.
But the level of trust they would have to get to before I feel like they'd be comfortable training with one another is like, not this book. I could see it happening in Oathbringer.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so... Now that I know that the next book is called Oathbringer and that's the name of Dalinar's sword,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Well, but I wonder if Oathbringer is named after another book, right? Because Words of Radiance is a book that Shallan gets from Jasnah. And so is Oathbringer also another book as well as the sword?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be the sword. I don't think there'll be... I hope that they're not all named after books. I think that'd be a very... just because I think that, like, what's the new one's called Wind and Truth? Maybe there's a book called Wind and Truth. I mean, there literally will be in our world soon, but I don't know. Maybe. Lightblind Fool says might be like a Zoro Sanji situation. I hope not.
Wait, because Adolin's horny?
No. Just the way they fight. I'm getting a little tired of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, do they just bicker all the time?
No, they physically fight constantly in a way that is. It's in filler in Long Ring Longland, but it really gets to be to the point where you're like, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
The like stakes are life and death, and they're like just fighting, and you're like, yeah. Anyway, sorry if the One Piece reactions haven't been great lately. I have not enjoyed this arc at all. I'm so excited for Water 7. I'm so excited, but I'm not loving it at the moment. Okay. Fourth book is called Rhythm of War. That could be a book.
That's a book. That totally could be a book.
No, it's not though. It's totally the Parshendi's Rhythms.
Well,
maybe it's a Parshendi book.
First Parshendi book that gets written.
Do you think that Parshendi can mate with humans?
Maybe.
Like, could Eshonai... Because Eshonai doesn't have a mate. Like, could Eshonai and Kaladin end up together?
Probably technically. Like, but I don't know.
There are no half-parsh people. So...
No. So maybe, like, in the same way that, like, certain animals can, like, have sex, but they can't actually conceive. Maybe
all animals can do that. Not safely, but...
Okay, sure, yeah. Yeah.
Those horse penises, man.
People still try.
So big.
People still try for some reason.
They're just so large.
Yeah. I hate it.
As a man who's jacked off a horse.
Hey, that horse semen is worth a lot of money.
It's worth a lot of money.
Anyways...
I grew up in a farm place, okay?
Uh-huh.
It's not actually that weird. What's so funny is where I grew up, that's not the craziest thing to say.
Yeah, but it's just being like, I jacked off another thing.
Yeah.
That's not a person is just like, that's like being like, yeah, I went and jacked off my dog. Like, that's a weird fucking thing to say, right?
But there are people who do that, right? For like...
Yeah, it's still weird.
But no, like, I mean, like, breeders who are like...
Yeah.
Like, that is a job.
Yeah. Going to jack off a creature is just a weird thing.
I know. It's
strange.
I
know we do it as humans. We do a lot of weird shit, but it is weird. Which you can't say on Twitter now. Weird is now like gets a, like, oh, people might not like this. Fucking Elon Musk.
Line of Fiction, thank you for that super chat. What do you think theater kids think about the Parshendi having rhythms Is it something you fall into yourselves when talking to people?
Wait, you think that theater kids just burst into song?
Yeah, they do.
Well,
Have you watched any of the content
yeah,
that we've
but
made for the last 4 years?
but those are like pre-established songs. Like we don't have like a piece rhythm.
I improvise music all the time. What are you talking about? I will randomly sing random nonsense. So much so that when I brought out the words of Brandy at the beginning of this podcast,
You didn't sing that.
I know, but I was speaking in rhythm. I don't know. There's some validity to that. Yeah, Linus.
Guess,
yeah.
yeah.
The only thing about the rhythm thing is, the Parshendi are really black coded, in a lot of ways, and one of those ways is that they are the people with rhythm. It is the like the way in which this book feels like the Parshendi are very like real world black people coded is interesting, and I don't know how I feel about it, particularly because of some of the Parshendi art that I've seen, but also the like, we found them, they make good slaves because they're very strong, but they do what they're told.
Well, but that's not what happened at all.
What?
It's not what happened at all.
What do you mean?
They like are they have like a form that they take.
No.
Be...
I understand that there are differences. I'm not saying that it is exactly the same thing. I'm just saying that there are there's a deep element of what I would call because there are no other black people in this world that we've met so far, and the Parshendi are very much culturally coded in a similar way.
No, there are people with very dark skin. A bunch of the Bridge 4 people have it, right? Like, they remember the girl complains about tattooing Shen but she's like, what's his face? Skin's like as dark. Like, Sigzil is black, yeah.
Sure. Because of the slavery narrative and because of the like, they play a lot of drums and they are the people with rhythm and they are like, it's just one of those cultural connections that I think this book leans into in a way that I don't know how I feel about yet because I don't know where it's going. But I do think that I think that I think there's some validity to what I'm saying, right? Like I think that an American author writing about the Parshendi in the way that he has feels very like Atlantic slave trade coded in a way.
Okay.
I don't know. I maybe if people are maybe people completely disagree. Like I don't know. I do feel like there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about the slave trade to make those connections. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Kim Carlberg says exposed as an audiobooker. The funny thing about the 2-on stuff is I was actually reading the books back then.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I understand that the Parshmen are supposed to make us uncomfortable, right? Like, it's not written as, like, this is, like, a good, totally normal thing, and it's all fine. Like, it's very clearly, like, painted in a negative light. So, we'll see where it goes.
Jamal's right. They jump high, too. Yeah.
Are black people good at jumping? Is that... Oh, sure. Okay, good for them.
Yeah, it's something to do with, like, the ligaments or something.
All right.
Yeah, there's, like, a, genetic difference. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that is noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here are people who spice their food. Well, yeah, they
only
can't
the men.
do... That's true. Only the men.
Which
so
is
weird.
Not... yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's just a... It is just a connection that I think I'm making... I'm not saying that it's being done poorly here, and I don't think that it leans into it in a way that I feel like is gross or culturally appropriative, right?
Yeah.
I actually think that it's being handled fairly well. Not even fairly well. I think it's being handled very well. I'll say that. I think that the tempered way in which Dalinar and Kaladin, our main characters, are looking at the Parshendi, and the way in which we meet Eshonai and the people of the Parshendi, and the way in which the narrative is beginning to center their points of view is what is making it work for me. As opposed to like Wheel of Time, where I felt like the slavery narrative of that book never centered the slaves. It was always just that they were tools all the way to the very end, right? And so because we never centered the point of view, and because slavery in the Wheel of Time is used as a punishment for bad people, narratively, it just feels gross. It feels like the narrative of that is that slavery is something that is deserved by certain people.
Right.
And so the narrative of it in Wheel of Time to me never worked. And it really, like, it is the biggest distractor from me being able to recommend that book to people or from my enjoyment of it.
Well, and none of our main characters like view slavery in a even remotely positive light. Like when Shallan meets the slaver, her judgment on that is, I think, pretty clear, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people's are, and they do talk about the fact that Sadeas using the bridge crews has actually like fueled the slave trade, and that's a negative thing.
Yeah. And I think that by introducing that narrative as being a part of the storytelling of the book is why I don't feel uncomfortable with it the way I did in Wheel of Time, where it always just felt like something to be used.
Yeah.
And it's being handled very different. I think that Brandon Sanderson is writing it so much better than Robert Jordan did. And so I'm only mentioning it because the parallels are there, not because I think it's actually being done poorly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Kevin says to say this is a black news a bit much, that any marginalized race was conquered and abused as an example. I don't think that you can, just because of the like visual touchstones and the like cultural touchstones. Yeah. I think there is more here than just.
I think the music thing for sure definitely leans into that. The fact that they literally have black skin.
Doesn't help.
It like leans into that narrative, like not that it is a 1-for-1, obviously, but that there are like threads there that exist.
But again, like I think it's being handled well. I'm not criticizing the book for using it or for bringing it up. I'm just mentioning that it is happening. The hair strands are reminiscent of locks. Yeah. I think that Brandon Sanderson is doing a much better job. You know, I think in book 1 I was a little bit critical because I was like, will Brandon Sanderson ever create a fantasy world that doesn't lean on these kind of things?
Right.
Other than Warbreaker, which didn't have slavery exactly, but kind of a similar concept. Here, I especially now that we're starting to get the Parshendi point of view, I feel much more confident in the way that it's being handled.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Like, Eshonai is a really fascinating character. Johnny Clement, thank you for that super chat. I pushed to include the interludes in split 1 to avoid an angry slavery rant. Was I right?
I don't know. I don't think I would have had an angry slavery rant, but I definitely think that the interludes here do a really good job of softening that criticism for sure. Yeah, I do. I think that there's a... I don't even think I ever really had an angry slavery rant in part 1 just because Kaladin was being centered as the main character, right?
No.
But
in some of the other books, it is kind of like other like previous Sanderson books, we've been like, okay, but what? Why? What the fuck? Like,
yeah. The way in which we are interacting with the people who are being oppressed in this book, I think, is the best Sanderson's done it. Even Mistborn. Because Mistborn, we don't really interact with it. It is something that is happening behind the scenes that our characters are trying to stop.
Yeah.
And it is something that is mentioned a lot, but that we don't actually spend a lot of time with the people who are experiencing the slavery in that world.
Yeah.
We're experiencing people who are in the class that would experience that if they weren't criminals and gang members, right?
Sure, yeah.
Thieves, and, you know, in a good way, because they're doing it for the good of the people, but we kind of are still experiencing people on the outside of it. This is the first of his books where I feel like we do get more of that POV of the people in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And that I just think he's handling it well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then it is complicated. Like, there's so much about the Parshendi and the Parshmen that we don't know. But I'm not like worried about finding out about it because it's gonna be like, you know, like questionable stuff. Like, I'm very interested to know what the fuck happened and with their gods, and like there's so much there to it. We get to a little bit of a Sadeas POV very briefly.
Yeah.
Basically he stuck his shard blade through the table. And then we meet his wife.
Yeah. What are you doing, Sadeas?
He's
Just put it on the
He's
table,
an angry
you
boy.
dramatic little bitch.
yeah, he's an angry boy. And so we meet his wife.
Lalai.
Lalai, yes.
Lalai.
Yeah.
Or Ialai? Is that an I or an L? No, it's got to be an I. So it's
It's
Ialai.
an I. Yeah.
His wife Ialai.
Yalai. Yeah.
What is going on with the new women's names in this book? Okay, Isadan,
Asmodean.
Ialai.
Asmodean.
I feel like book 1 we had Jasnah, we had Shallan, we had some like pronounceable names, but now
No,
Ialai.
we could not pronounce Jasnah or Shallan either.
No, we could. We just went
Aioli.
Jasnah.
That's true. Yeah. Well, no, we said Jasnah at first.
Well, sure. Who cares?
That I just mean it's been.
It's because it's all jazz, baby.
It's all jazz.
A little jazz band.
Anyways, obviously Sadeas has spies in Dalinar's camp, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck everybody up. I'm gonna murder everybody and just build up a Lethkar and
I do like that this
fire and blood.
this-
I mean,
the Sadeas Ialai thing is a little Graindal Demandred, in a way. Their vibe. I dig it.
all right, that's fun. I love that he's like, my wife is not hot, but she's like really fucking smart.
Which is what I wanted.
Chapter 6 is Terrible Destruction.
Oh, no. Sadeas wants, like, genuine conquest. Like, he's the worst person. He's like, I want to conquer again. Even though I want to conquer Yakaved, I want to conquer. And I'm like,
I
okay.
want it all. I want it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to forge into a Lethkar from flame and tears.
Yeah, fire and blood. That's what I said. Chapter 6, Terrible Destruction. We're back with Shallan.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not fire and blood. Because he uses a shard blade, so there's no blood. That's why it's fire and tears.
Fire and smoke?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't bleed. That's actually a really funny distinction. Anyway, sorry. Chapter 6, Terrible Destruction.
We're on a boat, and it's going fast. And
You think the Terrible Destruction is that Pattern doesn't like eating.
Oh.
He thinks eating is gross, and he's like, Terrible Destruction.
Yeah, that was very funny.
But no, it's actually that Jasnah's
Pattern.
fucking dead.
Yeah.
Or no, wait. That's the next chapter.
Basically. No, Pattern is my favorite so far. I love him. He's like, yes, good lies are true lies. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. You're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
The people on the ship can see Pattern, which is interesting. They're not like, I guess they can't really keep him a secret because he doesn't understand the idea of being undercover or
which
hiding.
Which is weird because Syl did when she was like dumber. Is that she was less aware?
But here's the thing.
Like, Syl was still very hidden, but Pattern doesn't seem... Pattern is out there being like, I'm Pattern, baby.
Yeah. But, like, I don't think Syl... Like, I think Syl's, like, kind of, like, default was hidden. And then she, like, reveals herself when she wants to. Whereas, like, Pattern's default is, like, you can see me.
But you would think that Pattern being
I just feel different.
Like, lie spren, a cryptic spren, would be more likely to hide themselves, and the honor spren would be the one who's dick out. But instead, we're flipping that.
But he says true lies are good lies, which means, like, it's got to be something that's, like, literally right underneath your nose, but that you can't see for what it is.
Sure.
I don't know.
Code 76 says, I always thought Pattern was stuck visible because Shallan drew him in her book defining him.
Oh, because those weird researcher people were talking about once they define the spren, then they can't change.
Oh, I like that.
So
That's
does that
fun.
mean Pattern is stuck like that forever? Like, that may not be Pattern's actual, like, form, but Pattern is just, like, stuck.
Shallan accidentally, like, locked him in place? That sucks.
That's so sad. But, like, obviously, like,
think about it.
Kaladin can't draw Syl, so Syl can change.
Yeah.
Except his pattern changes consistently, doesn't it?
I don't think
I thought it was the same lines. They just kind of, like, move around. Well, yeah, no, I don't know.
He is a lie spren because he finds them interesting, not because he's good at them.
That's fair.
Oh, that's very funny. So they basically, this is where she turns a patch of the deck into grass.
Yeah.
And everyone sees it, and Yalb introduces her to this new guy, And Yalb has a great French accent in the audiobook. If you've never heard it, I highly recommend it. It's very funny. And Yalb is basically like, I was this lady's footman one time, so you should do the dishes. And the guy's like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm here to murder.
The new kid is a murdering spy, so it doesn't really matter.
Later that night, Shallan checks on Jasnah, who's very tired. She's very sleepy. Shallan's going over there for more spheres because hers have gone done somehow. And Jasnah's like, were you soul casting? And she's like,
no, I swear.
And this is where we get the long conversation about like, oh, well, then you were using your other power. The Knights Radiant each had 2 powers. We are not of the same Knights Radiant. That's fine. But and
she gets a book, the Words of Radiance.
Yes, we do. We get a book.
Yeah. Which is
what
lost,
happened to that book?
Maybe? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember them bringing the book up after the boat went down.
Yeah. We know that Jasnah's research has survived because it was in a waterproofed chest, which, great. Love that for her. But because the book was given to Shallan, I don't know if that book survived.
And so Jasnah is like, so in the past, before the seasonal desolations, the Knights Radiant would be trained by the returning heralds who would come back basically for the desolation, then they'd fuck off. Obviously, we know 9 of them have given up, so there's only one herald. He is in Alethkar, and we haven't heard from him yet in this book because there's too much going on. Oh no. Fuck. Isodan has him. Isodan.
Who's that? I'm so serious.
We have talked about this character so much in this book club.
How do you spell it?
Aesudan.
Oh, the wife.
The queen.
Yeah. Asmodean. Sorry.
You just fully went, I'm not, nothing.
Her name is something that I can picture. I don't hear it.
That's so funny. This character is so important, and both of us are struggling so hard with her.
You said Isodan, and my brain went ICE. Like,
yeah. And so, yeah, they, so Talon is there probably. And...
yeah. They're going to go to
the Shattered Plains.
Because they think that gives them the best chance to figure out what the fuck happened, what these powers are, how to use them, and all the Radiance shit. And
basically, the plot of this book is national treasure. They need to find the Library of Alexander. They need to find the sealed library where there's going to be the information on the scrolls that will lead them to the next MacGuffin.
Yes, probably.
Alexandria? Alexandria.
Yeah.
Thank you, James Ross.
And then Shallan goes to sleep and wakes up to screams and shouts and smoke.
Oh, it's Light Weavers. That's her order.
Light Weavers, right. Yeah. So the boat is on fire. This boat is on fire.
The boat is on fire.
Yeah. And
let that motherfucker burn.
Basically, Jasnah gets stabbed twice.
Ooh, we get the really cool thing where she's like, why would anyone bring fire on a boat? Which is like weird to us, but it's such a fun little world detail that in a world where you get light from
the spheres,
why would you bring fire on a boat?
Yeah.
Cool little Brandy. Yeah. Hey Brandy. That's fun. I like that. It was a very cool moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, Jasnah's dead. She's been stabbed twice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shallan goes to the cognitive realm, which we find out that if you're on sea, then over there you're on land, and vice versa. And Shallan tries to convince the boat to not be a boat anymore.
Because Pattern told her that her people are upstairs on the boat, tied up. And so her brilliant fucking idea is to sink the boat while their hands are tied together. Because you know what's really easy to do when your hands are tied together? Swim.
Yeah.
She has
a shard blade.
I'm gonna fucking lose my mind on this girl. Girl, you have a shard blade.
Yeah.
You have a shard blade.
She literally could have taken the blade out and stabbed the bottom of the boat.
Yeah. You could have just cut a hole.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could have done. Because you have a shard blade.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, but then she would have been in the boat. That would have been very bad.
she's still in. Like, she's
Yeah, that's
not
true.
physically in the realm. Like, she can't. No, she's still fucked.
Like, I understand she doesn't want to use a shard blade to kill people. Maybe that's fine. But like you have a shard blade, girl.
Yeah.
There's so many solutions, and instead she's negotiating with a boat.
Yeah. She is negotiating with a boat.
How much negotiating with inanimate objects are we going to read in this series?
I am a stick. So.
I know. It's fun right now. I hope this isn't like. I hope it like goes away for a while and she can just soulcast. And then there's like a moment like 3 books from now, like in the middle of Wind and Truth, at this very important moment, we get another negotiation after a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need to watch every negotiation that she has with inanimate objects once she kind of gets better at it.
I hope that they keep that.
Oh, also, Neonar brings up a great point. She's not a great swimmer. By her own admission, she's like,
can't
I'm going to
swim.
sink this boat. I don't know how to swim, but I'm going to sink this boat.
Yeah. Shallan
special.
makes a decision and sticks to it no matter what. She is probably the most stubborn. Like, no one's even like trying to convince her otherwise. She just picks a thing and cannot, will not take a moment to even think of any other solution.
Thank you, Samantha A, for that super chat.
Thank you, Samantha.
Shallan sending people tied to the ocean to give them better chances. Wild.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. I feel like you could, like, you gotta think a second thought and then compare them. Do a pro cons list real quick in your head. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she does it. It works. And
Phantom Veil, we're not saying for her to go fight the people with the shard blade, but she can cut the boat up. Like, she doesn't have to go to Shadesmar risking her life because she doesn't know how things work there. She could literally just stab the bottom of the boat and have it sink, like, slowly.
Or go kill them with a shard blade.
I mean, look,
It's a shard blade.
She says she's not a warrior, but then she gets disappointed when Jasnah is like, oh no, not all the Knights Radiant fight. I'm sorry. Yeah. That girl is a warrior. That moment of disappointment just proves to me that Shallan needs that fucking shard blade in her hand, okay? Like, what would these assassins fucking do? Like, they're like, I don't know. Yeah, anyways.
Okay, so then something grabs her in the water. Is it the squid thing she connected with earlier?
It's the squid muffin.
It is. It's the squid muffin.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. I said it earlier.
I wouldn't eat it.
I liked it.
But
no, it's like the muffin top with the squid.
Chapter 8. It's knives in the back, soldiers in the field. Navani's little beginning of this chapter is, I seek not to use my grief as an excuse, but it is an explanation. People act strangely soon after encountering an unexpected
loss.
Thank you.
Though Jasnah had been away for some time, her loss was unexpected. I, like many, assumed her to be immortal.
Thank you. My brain stopped working. This implies that Jasnah will not be back at the 62-day timeline. But I'm assuming that the next 4 books don't take 62 days, because that would be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So
you really
I
think
still
she's
think
alive?
she's coming back.
You think she's alive? Okay.
Guys.
In the chapter I said, I was like, no, she's not dead. She's not dead. But I feel like she is.
No, I don't buy it.
All right.
I don't buy it. Not one bit.
All right.
I think her coming back will be cool. And here's the thing. I don't mind this being a fake out death. I know that but I want to get into why.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because in Wheel of Time, in some of these stuff, I'm like, God, nobody fucking dies.
Yeah, it was just over and over and over and over again.
But, like, Maps' death in book 1 rocked. Remember that? Like, that chapter opening with him just, like, on the body? There is the stakes of death in this world.
Well, Tien dies, right? Like, that kind of sets the stakes and for what it means for our characters. And then, like, half of Bridge 4 died.
Yeah.
Right?
And so I don't feel like this book hasn't set up the stakes of death well. I feel like the stakes of death are very present. And I think that more of these characters are going to die, right? And so I also feel like there haven't been a lot of fake out deaths, right? Like, if Jasnah comes back for, like, magical reasons, I'm not going to feel the way that I did in other book series where I was like, fucking nobody is ever going to die in this.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think it is possible, but just to have an opposition take to you, I'm going to say that she's dead.
Mr. Kite says Richard Stein don't really count. I don't think
How
of
dare you
maps as
equate
being a...
Bridge 4 to Reg... How dare you?
But, like, this book starts with Gavalar's death.
True.
He loses a fight against Zeth, or the last book, right? I think that, like, the book...
Zeth also does murder a bunch of people.
Zeth kills shard bearers, right? And Zeth is coming here. Like, I don't feel like a lack of death is a problem with this series in the way that at times I did in Mistborn, right? Like, and I love the Mistborn books. But there were times where, like, some characters survived some things that I was like, this is hilarious. There's one
Mistborn?
in particular.
Which one?
I don't want to say, but it's in the third book. There is I cried at their death. And then they were fine. They were not fine in the next chapter, but they were alive. And I was like, fuck you, book.
Yeah, that's fair. There are big characters that do die in Mistborn, though. I agree. I think the balance was
I think
much
it's
better
better
than
in,
other
like,
books we've read.
Wheel of Time, where I was like, why are they at war if nobody dies? What's the fucking point in this?
Yeah.
Only bad guys die in the Wheel of Time. It drives me fucking crazy. Sorry, I need to stop talking about that series. I just need to stop talking about it. There's no value in me talking about it anymore.
Yeah. Chapter 8, Knives in the Back, Soldiers on the Field.
So Dalinar is watching the armies fight. He has implemented his 2 armies per plateau run plan. Aladar, fuck these names, man.
I know.
And Adolin are doing a run together. Dalinar's feeling pretty proud of his son Adolin for being able to, like, kind of run stuff himself. Which
Even gets a little bit... Oh, no, wait. No, Never mind. That's a different section.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalinar basically, like, threatens Aladar and is like...
Yeah. Basically. Aladar's like, is that a threat? And Gavalar...
Like, yeah, pretty much.
Like, yeah, it is a threat.
But then Gavalar gives some advice on the battlefield, which Aladar takes, and it turns out... that Dalinar is correct. Mm-hmm. And Dalinar is like, okay, if you trust me here, why can't you fucking trust me with other shit? And he's like, nah, it's just not worth it for me. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the Alethi. They're all so stupid.
I liked Aladar's point of view, though.
Oh, no, I get it. But, like, that Dalinar's argument there is like, you trusted me here.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck are we doing? And he's just like, eh. Like, I'm just,
Yeah.
I just need him to have an ally, you know?
He does. Amaram.
Yeah, about that. We're gonna see.
Knives in the Back might happen soon. And so basically, the most important thing that comes out of this conversation is that Dalinar looks over and sees Eshonai standing on the plateau, on a separate plateau watching. And they realize that they're starting to change their tactics.
Yeah.
Which is not true. And I found this to be very...
What do you mean?
Strange. This chapter has one of the few, like, really strange moments for me, where they're like, they've never done that before. But that's not true. We've watched the Parshendi stand on another plateau watching them fight before.
No.
Yes, in book 1 it happens.
When
Dalinar looks over and sees Eshonai on the other plateau with another army not fighting. That is a thing that happens in book 1. That's a different
army. The retreating army, like, stands
right,
and watches.
Which is the same as this situation.
No, that was a whole other army.
No. We have seen the Parshendi with Eshonai at the head on a separate plateau watching before. And it is strange to me that it is brought up as this has been the first time when that was an explicit moment in book 1.
This is the first time that the army that is retreating has bopped over and then watched.
No, but Eshonai isn't in the retreating army. This is another situation where Eshonai is in a separate army watching them. That has happened before.
Eshonai isn't in a separate army. But Eshonai is watching, yes.
What do you mean Eshonai's not in a separate army?
Eshonai is there as potential backup. Eshonai went with that army.
I know, but that's happened before.
No, she was with a separate army in book 1.
Right, which is what's happening here. I don't understand how that's different than this situation.
No, this is one army.
This is one army.
There are not 2 Parshendi armies.
I don't know how you think the Alethi society could have the idea that they're 2 separate armies. They're the same. They're always one army.
The Alethi are saying that the difference in tactic is that the Parshendi that fought and then retreated, then waited and watched, where they had never waited and watched before.
But Eshonai has waited and watched before. That has been a thing that has happened before.
I'm not talking about Eshonai.
But that is the important bit of both of these moments, is that Eshonai is standing with a force on a separate plateau, watching the plateau assault and not participating. That exact thing has happened
not a
before.
separate force. It is the same force.
How is it not? What is the difference?
Okay, so in book 1,
Yes.
Parshendi army comes and fights, okay?
Yes.
And then they retreat. And Eshonai is like over here with a different army that doesn't engage. Whereas book 2 is Parshendi army with Eshonai comes and fights, and Eshonai is there as backup.
Isn't fighting. Eshonai's in this force.
No, she's in the one. There's one force that she is there with. That
she's
she
on
says
a separate
she is
plateau.
there to provide backup for.
Yes.
So she's watching. She's not engaging, but she's still with that force.
But
and
she's on a separate plateau.
Yeah, because she's watching.
So how is that different from the book 1 thing?
What do you mean? How is it the same?
In book 1, there's a plateau assault happening here.
Yeah.
And over here, watching with a different force of Parshendi, is Eshonai.
Yeah, but there's no different force of Parshendi in the second time. It is all the same force.
But it's still 2 separate plateaus, so how do you know it's a separate force?
Because it's the same force that then retreated, as opposed to a force that did not engage.
I don't understand how you can make that distinction at all. It's almost the exact same situation.
One group fought, and one group didn't fight. One group didn't
and
join
that's what
the
happens
fighting
here.
No.
Yes, it is.
Eshonai is not standing with a different army.
Yes, she is.
No, Eshonai is standing there with herself as backup for the army that she is supporting.
No. There's definitely a force with her.
No.
Yes, there is.
No.
Yes, there is a group.
There's not 2 separate Parshendi armies in this book 2 section you're talking about.
She's standing with like 10 people.
Yeah, she's got the people surrounding her, but she's not there with another army.
Sure. Okay, so the size of the secondary force is different, but this is still the second time in the books that we have seen the Parshendi stand and watch on a separate platform. And they're saying, "Oh, they're changing their tactics now." So
it's the retreating that is different. Previously...
Darren saying about Super Chat, the reserves are not a different army. I don't understand how the Alethi are supposed to make that distinction.
Because it's the people they just fought who then stop and watch. Whereas before, when they retreated, they fucked off. They didn't stop and watch. They fucked off and they ran away and they retreated. Whereas in this one, they retreated a little bit, but then they stood and watched. And it's very ominous because normally they would just run away.
But what stands out to Dalinar and Aladar in this moment is that there are Parshendi on a separate plateau watching the assault.
Specifically the Parshendi they
what
just
stands
fought.
out to them.
Yes, specifically the Parshendi they just fought.
No, because this happens while they're still fighting.
No, they start to retreat.
No, but the Dalinar Adelar these fucking names. The Dalinar Adelar conversation happens while the battle is still happening, and they are acknowledging that there are people that Parshendi are watching across the way.
But it happens
and
after
that has happened before.
Dalinar calls the retreat. Dalinar's like, they're gonna retreat, okay? And Aladar is like, oh yeah, no, you're right. They did retreat. They called the retreat, but then the retreat paused. They stopped to watch, whereas that's never happened.
But that isn't what Dalinar and Adlar are concerned about. They're concerned about the force that is just watching the battle on the other plateau.
Which is the force that they just fought.
But the force that is on the other plateau never entered the battle, which is the whole point.
Yes, they did.
Eshonai's force never entered the battle.
It's Eshonai and 3 people.
The battle is still happening while this conversation happens.
No, they're retreating. They literally are retreating. That is the whole point of this conversation, because Dalinar is like, they're gonna retreat, and then they do retreat. And he's right. And that's why he's like, Aladar, you trusted me that I called their tactics.
But then how is that fundamentally different?
Because the people that
from
retreated
the last time when Dalinar won and noticed that Eshonai was watching from a distance.
Because Eshonai was
I just don't get it. I don't understand how it's different. I don't understand why this is concerning, but the last time they noticed them doing something weird wasn't concerning.
Well, I understand how it's different. So
But the way that you're describing it isn't a different. I don't know. It's very odd to me. Morris S. Prinmon, thank you for that super chat. Been watching 2.5 hours of book club and just realized I hadn't liked the video yet. Genuinely, what the fuck? Thank you for liking the video.
Thank you for liking this video.
It doesn't matter when you like the video. It just matters that you
do. Yes. So make sure
that you go to
do it.
Your favorite podcast service and give us a 5-star review. This is going to be a long one, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He never saw them observing before. He saw Eshonai observing before. That is a thing that happened in the first book.
Uh-huh.
Chris Buchanan says the last time they noticed them doing something different should have been concerning. I don't know. One of them was Dalinar retreating from the tower, and Eshonai watched as the Alethi retreated. Yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Yeah, the Parshendi have never, like, stopped and stood there and watched it happen before. They just literally run off.
But the... I don't know. Eshonai has now watched 2 battles, but it seems like they're saying this is the first time it's happened, even though that's not true. Can we at least agree that that is not true?
But it is...
That this is the first time that Eshonai has been off to the side on a separate plateau watching the battle. Can we agree that that is not true?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're fine. Whatever. I don't care about the rest of it. As long as I'm not crazy about that piece of it, we can disagree about the rest of it.
All right. I didn't think that was the thing that you were...
No, I disagree with you. I still disagree with you. I think the Parshendi have already started changing their tactics, and that them acting as if this is where the Parshendi start changing their tactics is just fundamentally wrong, because we've already seen them change their tactics. And so them being like, oh no, the Parshendi are starting to change their tactics is bizarre to me, because the Parshendi started changing their tactics in book 1. And like part of the story of book 1 is that the Parshendi have started to change their tactics because Sadeas changed his tactics. And that was like the storytelling of the end of book 1. And the way that the Parshendi interact with the tower assault is because they started to change their tactics. And so this chapter being like, oh no, the Parshendi are starting to change their tactics was weird, because I felt like I read half of the book about how Sadeas and Kaladin's interactions had started the Parshendi to start changing their tactics.
Okay, so the change in tactic is instead of a full retreat, it is like a 5% retreat, because they just hop over like 2 platforms and then they watch.
Yes.
They've never done that before.
Sure. But my point is that is not the first change in tactics that we're seeing from the Parshendi.
Okay. So
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
but
then we're good.
Why is that relevant?
Because what felt weird to me was Dalinar and Adlar being like, oh no, the Parshendi are starting to change their tactics, as opposed to...
That is the first time
for
they
a few weeks the
them
Parshendi have started
tactics.
changing... But Dalinar has observed them changing tactics before this moment.
No.
Yes, the double bridge run caused the Parshendi to change tactics. That was like a big part of Dalinar's storyline in book 1.
I mean, they changed tactics in that moment.
That Dalinar has to save Sadeas' life because the Parshendi changed their tactics. That was a thing that happened. That was an important plot point. And so it's weird for Dalinar in the next book to be like, now they're starting to change tactics.
But that was in response to something they did.
Right.
Whereas the Parshendi just did this for no seeming reason, which is why it's strange.
Okay, let's move on. Chapter 9, Walking the Grave. Kaladin and the boys go down into the...
into the chasms.
Go into the chasms.
Mm-hmm. And they're pretty nasty.
Well, yeah. Because...
I mean, yeah.
Kaladin and his team haven't been cleaning them the way that I guess they were cleaning the ones over by...
Well, they were definitely, like, salvaging stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like how far? Like I don't know if they were really like removing like bodies and stuff, but they were definitely. They also said that like where the high storms washing stuff up, it was clear that they had like accumulated here.
Yeah. Which probably just means it's just like a weird bank in a chasm for the high storm or something.
Yeah, whatever the like path is in the direction of the storm. Anyways, there's a bunch of dead, nasty stuff down there.
They brought down 40 of the non-Bridge 4 members in order to... Because Kaladin is like, you know what? They come over for the stew, but they're not really fully invested yet. Maybe what we need is initiation. Because you know what bitches love? Bitches love initiation.
They're like, oh, well, we went down to the chasms to train, so we gotta let them know that they're like part of the like secret fun stuff.
And so they have Teft teach, and Kaladin and Syl have a conversation about the Dalinar wanting to bring back the Knights Radiant. And Syl is like, you're gonna do that, right? And he promises to, which...
He says he will try. He'll think about it.
But Kaladin, I love Kaladin's perspective of like, hey, light eyes have taken everything from me. They're gonna take you from me. They're gonna take the power from me. They're going to take this from me somehow.
Yeah.
And
So it's like, that's silly. And he's like, no, I know, but I cannot. Like, the feeling is irrational. And I acknowledge that, but that doesn't make the feeling go away.
I would say, like, the thought is irrational, the feeling isn't.
Sure, yeah.
Right? The feeling is a truth. The thought isn't, but the feeling is true.
Yeah.
And I really I love this moment. And I love the way that Kaladin's trying to work through his feelings about Dalinar, and obviously what shows up at the end of this to fuck that up.
Yeah. Tithanis, welcome back to the Nerds. Radiant. In Book 1, Persheni changed tactics in reaction to Alethi actions. Now Dalinar doesn't understand why this new change. Yeah. Yeah, Dalinar's like, what the fuck are they doing? I'm not sure why they would do that.
I just feel, in my opinion, once you have set off the change, the change is going to continue.
What?
Right?
What did they do differently in this run?
Nothing. Okay. But they started the Gears of War shifting in Book 1. And so
there was one plateau assault that went slightly differently.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that once you have changed something and you have forced your opponent to start to change, the chance that they are going to come up with other changes goes up, right?
Sure, and Dalinar
the fact
is,
that they're going to try new
out.
things is going to begin to rise.
Mm-hmm.
And so the surprise that they would try something else is misplaced, in my opinion.
I think it's the surprise is, what the fuck are they doing? They're just hanging out there. That doesn't make any sense.
See, this is why the show goes in circles, as we move on and then we get back into it.
Canizaris, thank you for that super chat. Do you have any predictions of Cal's arc this book?
I mean, I think it's mostly just going to be coming down to him revealing to Dalinar that he's a Radiant. I think that is going to be his arc in the book. Is it's going to be the story of learning to trust Dalinar despite Amaram being around, to the point where he reveals Amaram's failings and then reveals that he's a Radiant.
Yeah.
And that'll be the long arc of the book.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I'm starting to think Kaladin never gets a shard blade.
Really?
Yeah, I think that he is I think the idea of the spear is so ingrained in him that I have a feeling he'll never wield a sword. Even if he were to get shard plate, I don't know that he would ever use a sword.
Well, but even if he gets shard plate, remember it interferes with the surging abilities.
I don't know that that's true.
Oh.
Because I don't know that Kaladin has the ability, the gravity, or I guess he has the gravity ability. I don't know that the lashings, right? I don't know that the Kaladin has the same other ability as Szeth, and so his other ability might be shard plateable.
Yeah, maybe.
Because flight was clearly something that they were able to do, right?
In shard plate, yeah.
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 So I have a feeling, I don't know if Kaladin gets plate. He might not, right? He has powers. He might be he's a wind runner, right? That must be his other ability. Because I don't think Szeth is a wind runner.
So Cal can fly, maybe.
I'm assuming that's what it's going to be, and so Cal might get flight.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
But yeah, I think his arc is mostly about faith and overcoming his prejudice against the Light Eyes.
Yeah.
So is Cal gonna get a shard bow and arrow? No, Cal's an up close boy.
Yeah. No, it's Sadeas that has the bow and arrow.
I think Renarin will become the bow and arrow boy.
Oh,
because
that would be fun.
I don't think he's ever going to be an up close fighter, but he has plate now, and so I think that him being a bow and arrow boy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I could see Cal getting one of those half plate shields.
Oh, the fancy new
Fabrial
inventions
ones?
that they got? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so they're in the chasm, and Cal agreed to do the tests for Sigil to try and set a baseline for what the abilities are and how they work and how powerful they are, etc. And I love that how frustrated Sigil is, because he's like, I don't have a I can't standardize the test in any way because I don't know how much stormlight is in the sphere and how to measure it, or how fast it gets used up. It was very funny to watch him try and set a baseline for himself, but not be able to, just because of the because there's too many variables.
Yeah. Well, it's like how battery testing is so hard. actually testing what a battery can hold is way harder than I figured it would be, because I figured it was like 80 milliamp hour battery or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they're like, the inconsistencies in batteries are so crazy that like testing that is actually like a really refined job.
Yeah.
Which is cool,
trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Red Carpet Wants White, Chapter 10. We did react to this as a little gift because it's only 2.5 minutes of making us wonder if Shallan killed her mom.
No, I think it's that she walked in on her dad killing these people.
Maybe, but we don't know.
We don't know.
This shit was crazy. This chapter's wild. They've all been killed by a shard's blade because they have horrible eyes.
Well, yeah, like her mom is face down, hiding her horrible eyes. So like we don't see what that is, but I feel like we can infer that they're like burnt out.
It's just her dad's singing a lullaby to her while she is wondering about her mom being fucking dead. And this was 6 years ago, so this is around the same time that Gavalar died, which is really interesting.
Whoa, that was 6 years ago. So Shallan was 11.
Or 10? Is she 16 now?
She's 17.
17, so yeah, she was 11.
Yeah. Crazy. Chapter 11.
The age Shallan was when she murdered her own mom.
Maybe, yeah. Shallan was saved by the Squid Muffin and is half dead on the beach. Is trying to like look for other survivors. Is like totally fucked up. She's in a bad spot. She does not know how to make fire. So she like walks around for a while trying to figure shit out. Can't do it. Is like, I'm gonna try and make a fire. And then does like, I don't know how to make a fire. So she decides instead to go to Shadesmar to convince the stick to become fire. And it doesn't work. The stick...
Oh, wait. We have to go back.
Why?
Shallan's mom has the eyes, but the guy who's dead on the ground, he's bleeding.
Yep. Yeah, so there were 2 different methods of death.
No.
Yeah.
Shallan's dad didn't do this.
Why not?
Shallan's dad killed the guy who killed his wife and got the shard, and this is how Shallan's dad got the shard blade.
Okay, interesting.
So the assassin came in to kill probably Shallan's dad, right? Because he's a ghost blood. Kills the mom. Shallan's dad, in recompense, kills him. Shard blade drops. Now Shallan's dad has a shard blade. Or Shallan picked up the shard blade and now it's bonded to her.
As an 11-year-old? I mean...
And so her dad tortures her to try and get her to give up the shard blade.
Her dad tortures her?
No, but we don't know this. I'm speculating wildly here. So she picks up the shard blade after it falls to the ground. It's now bonded to her. So her dad won't let her leave and is like... not tortures her physically, but maybe tortures her mentally or tortures her emotionally to try and get her to give him the shard blade. But she never does. It goes too far. She kills him with it. She had the shard blade the whole time. Because her dad killed the shard bearer and the shard sword drops there. She grabs it. Suddenly she's a shard bearer.
Okay. I definitely still think that her dad gets the shard and then she kills her dad. But it is interesting that you think it's an assassin who had a shard blade and that's how her dad got it.
The guy that isn't his wife is the one that's bleeding.
Yes.
On the white carpet turned red, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that guy brought the shard blade in.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless that or wait, no, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I was gonna say that like that guy and the mom were having an affair. But then why would there be blood?
Maybe, yeah.
It takes time to bond a shard blade? We don't know that.
We don't know that, so... there's...
Thanks for telling us.
We have never seen anyone bond a shard blade. All we see is Sadeas take Oathbringer, whatever, and he just has it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that they are killed in 2 different... methods is definitely going to be very important. Like that is like a big clue.
Yeah.
The idea of an assassin
is
nice.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
bond a shard blade, one must stick it into a table, obviously.
Judah, thank you for the super chat. Both Kaladin and Shallan have shard blade trauma. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
They've been through some shit.
If I felt like I accidentally killed my mom with a shard blade, I'd be far more reluctant to pull it out.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if the reason why she doesn't use it is because she feels like she killed her mom with it, like, fuck, I would get that.
Yeah. Anyways, she tries to convince a stick to become fire.
It's great. This scene's fucking hilarious.
It's great.
I am a stick. Kate Redding really nails the performance of it, too. I don't know that I would have enjoyed it as much reading it. I'm glad I listened to this part.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because Kate Redding doing the voices, like, this was...
It's brilliant.
This was a type 5, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
And then we run into the guy who sold Kaladin to the Shattered Plains. He's just here.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What a fucking small world.
And so Shallan is like, maybe if I act like Jasnah, they'll do what I want. And they do.
And it works.
Good for her.
Yeah. Love that.
How are you feeling about Shallan? That's the end of the reading so far.
I mean, it's great. I enjoyed Shallan stuff more in book 1 than you did. And so this is just building and getting bigger and better. And I love that I love her trying to understand and emulate Jasnah in this way.
Yeah.
Because it's so true. Like her meeting Jasnah for the first time versus how she sees Jasnah before she dies is so vastly different. And
yeah.
her understanding of what Jasnah said to her before about what power is. Like she's before our eyes, like growing and learning as a person, and not just in a scholarly way.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know if I would I guess you could consider the study of like human nature scholarship in a sense.
I mean, every psychology major on the planet would consider that.
Yeah, but it just feels very divorced from like the historical studying that she's been doing. Like they feel like it feels like Shallan is...
Most psychology majors would disagree with you, but...
That like learning histories are very different than learning like human behaviors and reactions.
Yeah, I think a lot of scholars would argue those are the same thing in many ways, but...
I think studying the literal events that happened versus the, like, why that they happened are different. Like, there are some
But I don't
people...
know that you can study the events without understanding why. I think that people would argue that if you study the events without understanding why, you end up with
You repeat itself. Yeah. Which is like what people like.
I just don't think Jasnah would encourage bad scholarship.
No, not Jasnah. I just mean that like Shallan's like view on scholarship and study is being like broadened, right? Because I think that there are people like in our day and age that like wouldn't study the why, and that's why we repeat the mistakes that we do, right?
The Civil War wasn't about slavery. You're like,
sure, yeah.
All right,
yeah, and so I like that without being like very like cut and dry about it. I think that they're making the scholarly pursuits and like knowledge very interesting to read about.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I'm very much into it. I don't know how long I want her to be like getting to the Shattered Plains. I just want her there already, but that's fine. I'm
assuming she shows up right before the deadline, right?
Oh my god. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think she's just not going to be in the book.
Oh, you think? Okay.
Well, yeah, because there were 2 whole parts of book 1 that she wasn't in. She was in part 1, 3, and 5, but she wasn't in part 2 or 4.
True. Yeah. No.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's
so, I don't think that we're going to spend a lot of time with her on the road. I think that we're going to do part 2. I mean, I can literally just look to see.
That's fair. You think how do you feel about Shallan?
Part 2, No, actually, chapter 13 is for POV, so never mind. It's working for me. It's definitely working for me. I definitely liked her stuff in this more than anything she did in book 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever love her book 1 plot, what there is of it. But I also still don't love her as a character. I like Pattern a lot. I like her relationship with Pattern. I like her relationship with Jasnah. I don't really love Shallan's relationship with anybody else. Like, she doesn't really have much of a point of view on other people, which I find just a little bit bland.
A point of view on other people?
Yeah,
she's pretty judgmental of the slaver.
No, I mean with like Yalb and like on the boat. I just find her to be a little bit thin. I think that Risen has had 2 chapters as a character and is a deeper, more interesting character to me than Shallan is. You know what I mean? Shallan just sort of feels like a bland character who happens to have special powers. And I'm hoping that she becomes more than that. And I feel like we see the like promise of that in this, but we're still not there for me yet.
It's so interesting because if I were to put like Risen and Shallan side by side, to me it feels like they're actually very similar characters, but Shallan is more shaped by her past trauma, and therefore is less like bold than Risen is because of that. And she like, well, even that is not true. Like she basically bullies Jasnah into taking her as her ward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's
Shallan to me is a character who I don't love her personality because I don't feel like it's very complex, but that the book keeps rewarding her. And like things just kind of are working out for her in a weird way, despite the fact that I'm not super invested in her yet. I don't dislike it. I think it's a lot better in this book, right? I like her more, but I think it's a rough start character for me. I think it's going to take more work on the back end to get me invested now because I've spent time with her and been like, whatever.
See, I feel like her character complexity comes from her studies and that it's framed in a really like unique way that I've enjoyed reading. Like understanding how, like what Shallan learns about and then how she feels about what she learns about and then having Jasnah teach her the like scholarly pursuit of questioning that and coming to her own conclusions because of it. Like it feels very centered around her learning.
I just don't find her conclusions to be very interesting. I find the world building of what Shallan is learning more interesting than her participation in it, which makes her feel like a weak character to me.
Really? I thought the moment where she like her moment with Jasnah where Jasnah kills the guys and Jasnah's like, what do you think? Is this moral? And Shallan's like, no. And Jasnah's like, cool, you're wrong, but I can see that you've definitely thought it through.
Yeah, she's right. Like, it was wrong. Her having a, like, correct opinion there. And then her response to that being thievery and not seeing that there's, like, that, to, you know, her...
Shallan isn't calling herself moral.
No, but if her issue with Jasnah is that she has done something wrong, and her way to punish Jasnah for doing something wrong is to do something wrong, and that the book then lets that go, and we just completely move past it without without Shallan having to interrogate her own morality, is a little bit weak to me. Shallan has been able, as a character, is able to move on from the fact that she's done things bad because they don't matter anymore. The character she did them to is dead, and she has to move on to this whole new life because she's got the very super special powers, right? I think that Shallan will be very interesting in the future. I think that the way she is a entitled character who doesn't think much of other people, who is important because of what she is able to do, but not because of her ability to get people to want to interact with her, is less interesting to me. I think she's God's favorite princess, and so she is in the plot because she has superpowers, but I don't actually think she's the best character for it. And I think she's going to get there. I do. Like, I'm not hating on her. Yeah. Just right now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, if she didn't have superpowers, none of this would matter. Yeah.
No, it's just interesting that we feel like totally opposite about her.
She does some really bad shit, and then Jasnah's like, well, I have to get over it and marry you to my cousin because you have the superpowers that I need for the future that I'm envisioning saving.
Okay.
But if she didn't have superpowers, none of her actions would have been redeemable in book 1. But she's redeemed because of plot.
Oh, I disagree with that.
What do you mean? Which of her actions is redeemable based on her actions?
I mean, all of it. Like, she doesn't steal for her own, like, personal self-gain. She's just trying to, like, save her brothers.
Okay.
It's like fucking Jean Valjean stealing a loaf of bread to feed his child.
Not like that at all. Jean Valjean is on the lowest end of the class system, living in abject poverty to the point where he's starving. And Shallan is a noble in a noble family with brothers who don't...
With no money, no friends, no allies, no literally nothing. She is Jean Valjean.
That does not make thievery okay.
So you're saying him stealing a loaf of bread was also wrong?
No, I'm saying that he was a poor person at the bottom of society with in a desperate situation where his child was dying.
I mean, she was pretty desperate. She's like, all my brothers and I are going to be murdered.
Is a noble person of high birth whose family owns plots of land.
This is what
They're
I mean.
not
though,
comparable.
That's what I mean, though. We very much disagree on her character, and I just find that interesting.
I think that, like, I think that if you own plots of land and you are not willing to sell the land and become a lower class person,
then they get murdered.
Well, no. They owe debts, but there are other ways.
They get murdered. Like, literally,
because
Shallan
they have to pay off their debts, but you can sell stuff off.
No, Shallan is like, we are going to be fucking assassinated in our
because
sleep.
they are not willing to sell off what they own. They are so desperate to cling to their station and not lower themselves in society.
You can't sell
land. Yes, you can. No, you can sell a fucking mansion.
You can't sell a title. If they are if they are like a duke, for example, if they're like a duke, they can't like sell off their duke title to the highest bidder.
Yes, you can.
No, because then they will still get murdered.
But then they use the money from the sale to pay their debts.
What do you mean? No one's going to buy into the debt of the earldom or whatever it is.
What do you mean?
They cannot...
They own enough land that they are able to hide quarries of marble on it. They are able to... They own so much land.
Where are they going to sell it to?
Somebody wants to buy a bunch of fucking land. People buy land all the time. It's the number one real estate. Real estate is one of the number one ways to move money around in the fucking world. What do you mean you can't sell it?
Yeah,
they have enough land. They hide marble quarries on it.
In our world, this is like a fantasy shit where like your lands and titles.
Oh, so, I'm sorry. I forgot that in fantasy worlds you can't sell land to other people. I forgot about that part of it.
You have no idea if they're able to sell land to anybody.
Why would you not be able to sell land? It is the most sellable resource on the fucking planet.
They're either going to get murdered by debt collectors or the Ghostbloods.
So
they
sell
are
the
in
land.
A desperate position. What do you think they're going to go? Just like go like hide? No one wants to buy land that has empty quarries on it. It's useless. It's worthless.
They have the public thinks that this family has managed to find like multiple marble quarries on this land for the last few years
that are now empty.
Somebody will buy it on the off chance they can find another one.
No, someone's gonna walk into the quarry and be like, "Oh, this is empty.
For the prospect
I'm not gonna buy
of finding quarries all the time."
Okay, and what if they don't own the land? What if they are given the land by whoever the fuck the king is, and it's not theirs to buy or sell? They just have the title and the rights to it.
Well, then they don't. Then I mean, maybe I wouldn't buy that, but sure, maybe.
What do you mean? Ernest, thank you for that super chat. Shallan is my least favorite character, favorite out of the main characters, who's one of the most interesting and mysterious stories in the book.
I agree with that.
Oh, yeah, she definitely has a great story. I'm just saying, we feel very differently about Shallan because, I have a lot of empathy for her and the choices that she makes because she's in a desperate situation.
I am saying that does not make thievery okay.
So Jean Valjean, what he did was wrong.
On some level, yeah.
All right.
But it's more redeemable because of the reasons why he's doing it.
I think that Shallan trying to save the lives of her family members is pretty redeemable. But then in your situation, everything is fine. What do you mean?
An assassin who kills people for money because that's how they feed their kids, in your eyes, is morally okay.
Well, no, I mean, there's
then you don't draw the line
jobs
anywhere.
That you
okay, but then you don't draw the line anywhere.
What do you mean I don't draw the line anywhere?
If a
murder,
rich family...
Murder is definitely like a line. Theft and murder are different things.
Okay, but without the soulcaster, if Jasnah got killed, are you saying then that that's not Shallan's fault?
Did Shallan kill Jasnah? Because if Shallan killed Jasnah, yeah, that would be far less
I think that the line
redeemable.
that you're drawing is so arbitrary.
I don't think so. I think that that's why these conversations are difficult.
difficult, sure, but the version of that you're drawing is that because Shallan is in a desperate situation, that this insane plan is the only viable option is insane. Like,
which is why
the plan already sucks.
You are being Javert because you're saying there is a hard line
I'm
and
not
there is
being Javert.
There is no room.
I am saying that when you are a noble family who owns enough land that you're able to hide fake marble quarries on it, you probably have more options than sneaking countries over and robbing somebody. There are probably other things that you can do to...
I mean, there are 6 of them, and none of them could come up with a better idea. So I feel like
that
was desperate.
But that...
Like, literally, like, you have to be so insanely desperate to be like, we're gonna go steal from the king's sister. Like, that is, like... We are literally out of any other options. That is the most desperate idea that I could possibly think of.
Yeah, we're gonna go steal something that we can't even use anyway. Like it is also incredibly stupid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is their last resort. It doesn't.
Gambaro, she doesn't need the soulcaster. She needs money.
Well, they need the soulcaster to give back to the Ghostbloods, because if they think that it's broken and they can't get it back, then the Ghostbloods will also murder them.
That doesn't make it okay. Like that doesn't justify
what she does to Jasnah. No, but I think it's redeemable. Because of her reasoning behind it.
I just don't agree with you.
So you think?
I think that
that anyone who steals is irredeemable.
Like entirely irredeemable? No, I think the action isn't redeemable. No, the action is redeemable by returning what you stole, right? Or by bringing a requisite amount of.
She returned it. She gave the soulcaster back.
Yeah, I don't think she should be rewarded for that.
But you said what she did was irredeemable.
Yeah, and you're correct. That's the wrong language. But she shouldn't be. I guess what I'm saying is the book rewards her because she has superpowers. For an action that she should not be rewarded for.
She is like one of a kind and magical, and so it definitely influences Jasnah's decisions.
Giving the soulcaster back only no, fuck that. She's not redeemed in that action. She gives it back because she's dying. She doesn't want to.
She still gives it back. So you're saying that the reasoning behind it does matter. It is not the actions that matter in themselves. It is the reasons behind it.
The reason why you give somebody back to something does matter.
And the reason you steal something from someone else also does matter.
Sure, it matters, but it doesn't change. It doesn't make it a moral good.
I'm not saying morally good.
I think that redeemable. At the point where your plan is to go to another country to rob somebody, you have done something wrong. Objectively. Jean Valjean does not go, my kid is dying. I am going to take a boat to another country, lie to someone, become their ward, and then rob them of their most prized possession. He stole a 90-cent piece of bread. You know what I mean? Like, the scale is so different that to compare them is not, that there's no argument there. She premeditates a crime on a massive scale.
Okay.
And then she undoes it because she is dying and she needs that person to save her life.
Okay.
But she doesn't do it out of the goodness of her heart or because she realized she's wrong.
No, but she knows that what she's doing is wrong. She feels so guilty about this whole situation. She feels so bad about it. Underscore, thank you for that super chat. Soulcasters can't be replaced by going to a store. Yeah, it's true. They had to make a desperate run to give something back to these Ghostbloods because they're clearly very dangerous. Guillermo, thank you for that super chat. I think robbing the rich isn't all that bad, actually. Yeah, well, that is its own moral discussion, which I think that's fair. But no, the point is, I think that it's very interesting that we feel very differently about Shallan's character.
I think she's fine.
There are a lot of people who don't love her characterization in the series that people have expressed as well. So
I think that the more interesting thing would have been to see her deal with not having money. And I think that her just kind of stumbling upon people who she's able to just have do stuff for her again is less interesting, honestly, because it would be nice to see her actually struggle.
Well, but she had to put on this persona to get the slavers to do what she wanted. She doesn't actually have money anymore.
Sure, yeah, but she is also engaged to one of the richest people on the planet. So
she can't just be like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally engaged to Adolin.
I mean, she literally could. But literally she could. I
guess if she says it with enough confidence.
But no, I wouldn't have someone roll a deception check if I was that DM. I would have them roll persuasion. It is true. It's a true statement.
Yeah.
She can literally say that because it is a fact.
Sure, but they don't know it's a fact. Like, the Thalen guy would be like, yeah, sure you are, honey. Like...
I don't know. If I found a woman off a shipwreck who looked as fucking rich as she did, I don't know that my first thing would be doubt. I'd be like, oh, that might be facts. This woman is dressed so well that, like, why would a rich person lie about that?
Because it's never been, like, formally announced or proclaimed, so...
Well, I don't know how that works in this world, so that might be true, actually, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
But she is literally engaged to him. Like, that is just a true statement. Yeah. It's not like she would be making it up, so I don't know, it's tough.
Although I actually don't know how engagements work. They might have talked about the engagement, but, like...
This derailed us for 25 minutes.
Yeah. I just am, like...
Why does anyone watch
about
this
how you
show?
feel about Shallan.
I think she's fine. I think she's gonna be great. I just find her a little bit. I find her a little bit like the book has to let her keep moving forward because she has superpowers.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that she's really earned much of it yet. And I want her to. I want to get there with her. I don't hate her. I just am like kind of. She's my least favorite of the main characters. I think her plotline is more interesting than she is. I think Jasnah is more. If the situation was flipped. And Shallan was in the ocean missing, and Jasnah was the character we're following, I would enjoy the book more. I find Jasnah more interesting as a character.
All right.
That's all I'm saying. I don't hate her. I'm not saying she's terrible. I don't want her out of the book. I want to keep following her because I think she's going to get there for me. I just don't feel that way right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We get to chapter 12, which is... Well, okay, Sigzil's, like, measuring the Kaladin.
My poor arms!
Yeah.
My arms!
Rock is like, no, I'm very big. It is hard to hold me up.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, but your arms are big too. And he's like, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, he's like, no, that seems wrong.
As someone who is getting closer to being able to do more pull-ups because I'm losing weight, not because I'm getting stronger, I agree with Rock.
I also love that, like, Lopin is like, just stick me to the wall. Whatever.
And then they fight. I love that Rock is willing to spar but not fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock's lines are very arbitrary.
Well, no, he's not willing to, like, hurt somebody. I get it.
You can hurt somebody in a sparring match.
Not... I can't stand you. I literally, like, can't stand you today. This is the most I've, like, disliked you during a book club.
Wow.
Is this book club today.
It's because he knows I'm right.
I find you exhausting today.
Because I was, like, poking holes in your arguments, and you were like, oh, yeah, no, you know what? You're right.
No, it's not that.
Yeah?
It's not that. It's that I'm really tired, and I am trying so hard not to cough more than I already am.
No, that's fair. We did not sleep well last night. Neither of us could fall asleep. We were just, like, laying there like, this sucks.
The last 2 weeks have been really tough. I'm not gonna lie. COVID has been a bitch.
Yeah, COVID sucks. Y'all,
and so,
be careful out there.
They have a great fight. This scene rocks. The fight's so fun. Kaladin starts to realize how he can, like, holding people to walls and shit is helpful in a battle. Judith, thank you for that super chat. Rock swinging a tree is a funny image. Yeah. I don't know how they find a tree in a chasm.
That was... Yeah.
I also feel like anybody above them would be able to look down and be like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
Yeah, maybe
because
it's one of those,
you would think this side would echo up and someone would walk over and be like, hey, what the fuck are you guys...
Maybe it's one of those, like, 100-foot chasms.
Yeah, maybe. Or it's like a curve. The scene rocks. Hey,
got him.
And so they go back up, and they're like, Amaram's here. And so Kaladin wind runs across the fucking camp to see Bright Lord Amaram.
Oh, this is gonna be
and Dalinar
bad.
making out. Just fucking, like, going tongue to tongue. This is gonna be a 4-hour book club. I'm so sorry. We still have 4 interludes to talk about. This chapter is mostly great because of what it sets up for part 2. I'm so excited to see Dalinar.
Yes.
This relationship between the 3 of them is going to be really interesting.
Yeah. I feel like we can talk about the 2 Eshonai ones together.
Sure.
It feels weird to separate them. So we are Interlude 1 and Interlude 4. We meet Eshonai, who is, in fact, a female Parshendi, and is their last shard bearer that they have.
Yeah. War is almost over, kids.
Crazy. Yeah, the war is, like, they're fucked. Like, they were like, damn, we just wanted to, like, fight with the Alethi a little bit. We did not want to fight with them this much.
Are the minis in here?
Yeah, they are on your clothes.
I love that the mini, the Eshonai mini from the set is in the same pose. With the cape is added, but it's the same pose as the chapter symbol for Eshonai.
Oh yeah, and the
with
sword
the sword
is
down,
spiky like on the side. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, but if you look at the like chapter thing and you look at this mini, it's the same. Anyway, just thought that was cool.
It's a sick mini.
Yeah, it's great. I love this one.
Yeah, I'm excited to do some painting. I have no idea how to start on fucking Kaladin though.
Yeah,
it's gonna be all detail with the fucking
carapace
on it. Oh my god, that one.
Dalinar's coming together though. Our Dalinar mini's mostly painted. He just needs details.
Yeah, because Dalinar's just gray.
Yeah.
I might like add like a little bit of like blue ink wash, but we'll see.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know, just to give it the break up the gray a little bit. But yeah, we learn so much about the Parshendi from being in their like POV.
Sorry, Chris Puckin's right. The listeners.
The listeners and how they communicate. They like talk to each other with different like undertones in the song. Like it's all very cool. I love the way it's described. I think it's fascinating. So Eshonai's sister is working on new forms because the Parshendi take forms that are good at a specific thing and like far less good at other things. Yeah.
Transformers.
What a wild concept. They used to have like hundreds of forms.
Yeah.
And so she thinks that her sister is trying to come up with an artistic form, but in reality, her sister's
they have a bunch of soldiers doing
no.
art.
Yeah, but no, her sister has been researching storm form.
Creation spren. We need a Shallan.
Yeah.
Can someone bring us a Shallan?
Yeah, they're not good at the artsy stuff, unfortunately.
No.
Who
is?
Yeah, and so her sister's like, I found storm form, I think. And so Eshonai, Eshonai actually goes to her mom. Mm-hmm. And this was...
Who has dementia? Jesus Christ.
The saddest fucking thing I've ever listened to in my life.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Hey, Brandon, you made me care about a character real fast.
Yeah, well done. That's very well done. There's also a captured spren inside the gem heart.
Ooh, good pull. Yeah, important. A storm spren.
Yeah.
Which is different from a wind spren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna be very interesting. Anyways,
what do you think of the forms? So we have nimble form, which is like day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, work form.
Work form, which is strong, very detail-oriented. We have breeding form, which is my favorite.
Mating form, yeah.
Definitely my favorite. I would stay in that.
You get the big boobies, so
get them big old titties.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love that in the anime version of this, Brandon Sanderson gave the monster fucker people a way for their monster to have big old titties.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. We get the dull form.
Yeah.
We're missing one.
And war form.
War form.
Yes. And then there is the slave form, which is technically the absence of form.
Yes. And so the 5, which is the like leadership council of the listeners, one of them is in each of the forms now that they have 5 forms, which is a really interesting way to have government. I really like. I love that there's like time given to the Eshonai being like, I feel bad for the one who's stuck in mate form.
Yeah. Because
they are horny all the time. Like, just all the fucking time.
Yeah, this one person,
but they're the only person who can handle it.
Yeah, handling it. And then also the person that's in dull form.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah, I mean, that just
But they
sucks.
feel, and that person feels like they have to speak for the slave form people as well. And I love that, like, again, like I was saying when we were talking about this book, bringing it up, I love that this book acknowledges that. Having a character acknowledge that they have to care, somebody has to think of the people in that form, is a way of, bringing those people's stories to the center.
Yeah.
And I think it's good work on Brandon Sanderson's part writing it in the way that he did.
Yeah. I think that we're not going to go over all the information that we learned in these chapters because it seems impossible.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff with their gods and what the Parshendi did or did not do or ran away from or sacrificed.
They definitely killed Gavalar, though.
There
is no doubt that the Parshendi, there's no well, maybe they didn't hire Szeth. They hired Szeth.
They definitely did that.
They killed Gavalar.
Judah, thank you for that super chat. Who do you think should compose the music for the adaptation, especially for the differences of humans and listeners? I'm personally really excited for that. Hans Zimmerman.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
He does a lot of really good work with drums.
And also, like
Ludwig.
underscoring.
Oh my god, the guy who did the Mandalorian music, and Black Panther.
Okay, yeah.
Because, like, oh my god, is it Ludwig Göransson?
Composer?
Yeah, Ludwig Göransson. He did Creed, he did Tenet, he did Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
Did he do Mandalorian? Did I make that up? I might have made that up.
Maybe.
No, yeah, he did Mandalorian. I think Ludwig Göransson would be a really good choice.
Yeah. I like Hans Zimmer just because I think that, like, the different vibes, like the underscoring for like what the listeners are, like how the listeners are communicating, like the peace thing, like, or like the, yeah, I don't know. I think that, like, it's so much of a vibe for the communication, and I think that Hans Zimmerman is really good. Hans Zimmer. I don't know why I added that.
I know, you just keep saying Hans Zimmerman.
I don't know why. It's probably because we've been sitting here for 3.5 hours.
Fair. Just fighting
I
with
don't know.
each other.
I feel like
Guys, this
the
is the
vibes are
last
right.
book club.
This is
We're getting a divorce after this one. Yeah, no, I agree with that. They basically get into a meeting with the Five where they have a big argument over whether or not someone's going to take storm form. With Valda? What's Venli? Venli is the Jasnah of the
listeners.
Eshonai is basically the, like, Dalinar / Elhokar. For some reason, Eshonai wants to meet with Dalinar and not Elhokar, even though it does seem like she should be meeting with the king.
Yeah, Eshonai wants the war to stop and thinks that Dalinar, who is the famous warrior general Blackthorn dude, is going to be the person to help sue for peace.
But also, like, the last time the listeners saw Dalinar, he was drunk at the feast.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he was a big part of the negotiations. Gavalar was. So you'd think they'd want to talk to Gavalar's son. So I'm curious why she thinks that Dalinar is the person to talk to.
I am as well. Yeah.
Something must have happened at some point that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, or they have some information, like they have this idea of him
from the spies.
For some reason.
There's a Parsh spy somewhere in the castle that's, like, feeding them that Dalinar's the one actually in charge, and that Elhokar just kind of does what he says.
100%. But yeah, so Eshonai is going to be the one to try this new storm form.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying. It's definitely not going to go well.
Venli is the brains behind all of Listener Society and is not expendable. Yeah. So, Venli's upset. She thinks that she's being kind of...
She's like trying to steal her glory.
Yeah, but the argument makes... I think the argument makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I think Venli is just being a little bitch about it. But yeah, that's going to go horribly.
I think it's going to go well. I think she's going to get that storm form.
Yeah, I just mean her being in storm form is going to be bad.
So this is my prediction. I think that they're going to get their storm forms, use their storm forms to call the storm that changes all of the Parshmen back into listeners, and that is going to be the uprising that happens in 60 days.
Yeah.
Is that the storm that they call with their magic powers is going to be the one that changes people into war form or... any form, honestly, other than...
In the, like, I don't know, I feel like the Voidbringer form, like, there's gonna be some kind of evil... I don't know. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
For sure. But we get Interlude 2, which is Yim, who is
this was sad.
Shoemaker. It is horribly depressing. Basically, he makes shoes for children.
Homeless children.
Who need it. And then he gets killed. So that sucks. Apparently, he, like, was an accomplice in murder, like, 30 years ago. And the guy shows up and is like, justice doesn't have a fucking deadline, and stabs him. And it's very sad. Like, actually, very sad.
Yeah.
But not much to talk about.
No, the guy's Makabaki. Right?
Okay.
The guy is got a crescent moon on his cheek, which I think is going to be important.
Probably.
I don't think we've met him yet.
I don't think so.
And he has a shard blade.
Yeah. There's a lot. Everyone's got a shard blade,
But
though.
Yim is a radiant.
Who can heal.
Yeah, he has, like, healing powers. He has a spren that hangs out with him.
Yeah.
And this is, like... And he's an older man. So it's not just, like, young people that are becoming Radiants all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Which means that Dalinar will be a Radiant.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's fair.
I'm starting to get the vibe. I think Dalinar is going to become a Radiant. I think that it would be weird if he didn't, right? So here's the thing.
He can't really form the Knights Radiant if he's not part of it.
No, it's that why would the spren that are bringing... This is why I think that time travel exists in this world in some form, right? Not physical time travel. I don't think people will physically travel in time, but they at least mentally travel in time, right?
Yeah.
Because Dalinar does in the past. He keeps seeing the past.
Yeah.
I believe that Dalinar, if he didn't have a connection through the spren to the Almighty, he wouldn't be able to get the visions.
Okay, interesting. So you think that he must be a Knights Radiant because of this connection?
Because I think that if the Storm Lord was a spren, then the person sending the visions was probably also some form of crazy spren.
The Almighty left his diary in the form of spren.
And so I think that Dalinar will become a Knights Radiant. Because I for a while I was like, oh, like the Knights Radiant will be a bunch of young characters that are being raised up because they have youth and all of that stuff. But this guy got his spren later in life, Yim. And so I think that means Dalinar also has the potential to get one as well.
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. The healing being a power is great. It's definitely going to be very, very useful.
Sharonian says recordings are not time travel. They are being sent to him by someone who died in the past.
Yes.
So they are traveling through time somehow. I'm not... Okay, we have to divorce two things here. There is time travel in which you and your body travel to another point in time, right? That is time travel. But there is also, like, other forms of time travel, which is when things travel throughout time that are not physical. But these memories being given to Dalinar through high storms from the past when the person died and not in the present is a form of time travel, right? It isn't like it isn't the form that I think people think of. But when I think of time travel in real life, I don't think that we will ever physically time travel. But I do think that at some point in our future, we will be able to use some sort of quantum mechanics to open a window into the past. I think that will become possible at some point. I don't think we'll be able to interact with the past. But I do think that we will be able to open windows to be able to view the past. And when that starts to happen, I would consider that to be time travel because the light of time is traveling. But obviously, Kamara says YouTube is time travel. No, that is a recording. We understand the science of how that is recorded and how we're watching that recording. That is presently watching something that was recorded in the past. This is something being sent to the future through spren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have, like, video cameras.
Yes.
Yeah. Although they do have cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ronnie, thank you for that super chat. Interesting thought. We view the past every time we look at the stars.
Which is why I think it's possible.
Yeah, which is crazy when you, like, think about it, but 100%. Yeah.
Which is why I think that on, like, a quantum level, this stuff is possible. Bridge 4 says, no, the visions are recordings. No, they're not. If they were recordings, he wouldn't be able to talk to them. That's not how recordings work.
Who wouldn't be able to talk to them?
Dalinar would not be able to talk to people in the past. He would be living a recording. But he's not, so they're not recordings.
Yes.
You can't just say, like, no, they're just recordings. They are clearly not recordings. Like, they are interactable moments in time.
Yes.
The thoughts and feelings of the people in the past are present in their minds and they are able to respond to questions.
Yeah.
Therefore, in a way, there's a level of time travel that is existing.
Yeah.
He is not changing the past, and so it isn't the kind of time travel that you might see in a movie, but there is a level of time travel that is happening in this moment.
Yeah. Video games are all pre-recorded and predetermined recordings. You just pick the recording. You're saying the Almighty was like, what are the infinite amount of possibilities that these people could have responded to based on something that, like, Dalinar might... all the infinite possibilities of what Dalinar might have said? No, it's not. It's literally not even close to the same thing.
XY says, I think you're technically correct about time travel. I think you should maybe only use it to refer to physical time travel since it can get confusing otherwise. Okay, but I am right. And the type of time travel we're seeing in this book is the only one we can talk about in relation to this book.
Yeah.
Because this exists.
Yeah.
I don't think that physical time travel will happen, but versions of time travel will happen, and all prophecies time travel. That's just how prophecy works. If you can see something that happens in the future before it happens, you are time traveling.
Yeah. Interlude 3 is Risen, which we kind of already talked a little bit about, and connected to first book. But she's going with to the Reshi Isles, which are actually creatures that move around in the water. They are not islands, but the shells like grow things on them, so they're kind of islands. Bonkers.
Cool as shit.
Absolutely bonkers.
No, this is cool as shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How big is Roshar? This planet must be massive.
Fucking massive.
It has to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, it might be like the size of Earth.
No, Earth couldn't sustain something that big.
Really? Why?
The amount of energy that you would require to feed and maintain multiple islands of these things. There's like a you would just run into an issue of scale. A bigger planet would be able to support bigger organisms.
But like why?
Well, because if you think about like the depth of the oceans in this world would have to be so massive to have something the size of this existing in it, right?
But like we have like whales.
Yeah, but a whale, you can't put you can't put a civilization of a whale on the back of a whale.
I mean, like they're not the same size, but they're still pretty massive. It's also like shallower water because it's like warm.
That just means they're closer to the equator, though.
Because it's shallower?
The scale of this world would have to be huge to equate for the size of the world that we are seeing.
I don't understand how planet size affects animal size, but
it probably doesn't. So. I'm probably speaking on my ass, but I think that that's true.
All right. I don't know. But they're really cool.
Yeah. They're sick. I really like this.
They're treated as gods.
What happens on this island is dumb.
What do you mean? When she goes and tries to talk to the god?
First of all, so what is his name? Reshi?
No, the Reshi Isles.
No, what's her? Vistim.
Yes.
Shout out to our boy Laboon. Guillermo, if there's any planet that has to be fucking massive, it's fucking One Piece.
It's like, I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat.
The Grand Line is the most insane place ever. So here's the thing. Vistim is pretending to be sicker than he is.
Yes.
So that this girl has to go negotiate a deal that's already been negotiated.
Yes.
And he says all you have to do is be really bold. And so he's trying to train her to be bold. And when she does what he says,
she becomes paralyzed.
She almost dies because on the way up,
she shatters her legs.
Basically, she has to climb up this creature. And on the way up, people keep jumping off of the thing from different heights to show how bold they are. Because that is a cultural way that this culture shows boldness.
Yeah.
And then when she goes off the edge in a way that's bold, they're like, well, why would you do that? And it's like, because it's the fucking example that she got on the way up. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? What kind of boldness did you think she was going to show?
Even Systems says that, like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Like he fucked up a bit. Because Risen, she goes up to the top. She meets our invincible boy from book 1.
Mm-hmm.
The Amian, very briefly.
Who can apparently rip off his limbs?
Cool, good for him. I mean, he can change his nose to not smell anymore, so that's convenient. But yeah, she goes up to the top, to the top. And she talks to Talik, who also used to be something student.
Yeah.
And
we get way too long a description of how this woman is a king. If I have one criticism for this that isn't a low, because it doesn't matter, the amount of time it took for this seemingly intelligent girl to understand that the king was a woman was a little bit exhausting to me.
Well, because
I was like, it's not that deep.
Well, no, because she's like, king is a gendered term, so why would she not be queen?
I know, but this is a character who's the only thing we have ever seen her do is go around meeting weird cultures. It's the
but
only.
She makes one comment about it, and then she moves on and refers to him as the king, her as the king.
There's like a back and forth about this.
There is like she makes one comment about how like, but then wouldn't it just be a queen? And he says no, and she doesn't bring it up again.
It felt in the audiobook like this went on way longer than that, and I was just kind of like, girl. I think that one of the things that Brandon Sanderson likes to write, he loves to write, actually. I'm going to take that back. One of the things Brandon Sanderson loves to write is characters from another culture whose entire existence is experiencing new cultures, but are always baffled that other cultures are different. Like, Warbreaker did this so much, where she's been in fucking that... she's been down in the city for, like, whatever her name was. I can't even remember the character's name in that. And she's still like, oh my god, they have restaurants. Oh my god, they have this. Oh my god, this called... And it's like, there's a point where you go, I'm gonna let things kind of come at me. This girl has been... her whole existence right now is going and learning about new cultures. And she's like, I can't believe they do that. Well, that's crazy. I can't believe it. These people are so weird. Yeah. And it's like, girl, give up.
Just be like, all right.
Just go with it. Brandon Sanderson does not write characters who just go with it. Ever. Mm-hmm. They have to continue to be baffled forever by everything.
She fucking goes with it. She's like, all right, I'm going to be bold because you said no to our fucking thing. So I am going to literally jump off of this fucking giant crab and like scream at it because they say that it's a god and it has higher authority than the king. And then the rope snaps and she falls and she gets saved by the spren at the bottom, so they think that like God saves her, and she shatters her legs, but they give her a bug, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, she goes to talk to they're basically saying, no, we're not going to trade with you because we don't respect you.
Yeah.
Because you're a woman.
She goes, fuck that.
And so she goes and talks. She climbs on the rope to talk to the giant horned thing she's on.
Yeah.
But the premise of this is basically, Vistim's like, I need you to go be bold. And then they're like, they put her on the fucking top of a diving board, and they're like, do something bold. Mm-hmm. And then they wonder why she jumps off. And it's like, well.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, we didn't mean like that bold.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like the worst test of trading skills ever. And I guess she passed. I don't know.
Hey, she was bold, right?
She was bold.
She was. And she got bold. A dragonfly.
And now she's a radiant.
What?
She's definitely... This thing is going to be her radiant thing, right?
Her spren?
No, but like, yes. At the same time.
All right. I have no idea. All I know is that she got a pet. She gets an ancient
creature that's never seen alive in the last lifetime.
Yeah.
They understated how bold she would be. Yeah, Joshua, they really did. They really did.
Yeah, welcome back to the Nerds Radiant. Yeah,
she went too close to the god.
She went for it.
Yeah, she did, and now she's a radiant.
With a dragonfly.
Who can't walk.
Yeah.
If she gets the like combat wheelchair and people forgot about it, don't. Combat wheelchairs are cool. I don't know why people make such a big deal out of it.
Yeah. Anyways, this was fun. I like Risen. I think she's gonna have to be a Knights Radiant somehow, and that's how she ties into the story. Otherwise, this is really weird. But
yeah,
it was fun. And that is
I hope we get
1.
A second chapter with her this book.
I really hope so too. Yeah.
Kiarbaris brings up a good point. She didn't jump. She was rappelling and fell.
Yes. Well, the rope snapped. Yeah.
She fell. Yeah.
She fell.
No, Risen's cool. I like her. She's a character I want more of. And it is a testament to the book that, like, I do care about characters more than I did at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
I still don't really care about the, like, end of society, which is weird. So I think, like, that's the struggle. I'm starting to care about the characters. I'm still struggling to, like, care about their success. I kind of want the listeners to win. 2 chapters with Eshonai, and I'm like, I'm kind of on their side.
Sure. But
I don't know why they killed Gavalar, though, so, like, I don't know.
But maybe they are all on the same side in the end. They just don't know it yet, and they don't understand how.
I think we'll get there. Yeah. I'm enjoying. I feel like I've been very positive this whole book. Like I've made some jokes, but like the book is very good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been negative, have I?
No, why would you say that?
Just the way you just said that.
I just think that like when like the Almighty is like unite them. It's not gonna be the fucking High Princess. It's gonna be so much larger than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and which is why I think the interludes are here. It's just the pacing is still a little off to me, but it's better, and I'm definitely enjoying this book significantly more than I was the first book.
Yeah.
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 And even like individual chapters, I just think that it's tighter. I think that the way information's being delivered is stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the tone is much more cohesive in this book. It's also just less depressing. Just less outright depressing. And it's not that being depressing is a bad thing. I've read books that are very sad, but there is a sense of hope in this book.
Yeah, it's not Kaladin wanting to just fucking die, like, all the time.
Yeah, and there's still sad stuff in it, right? There's still, like, Amaram's presence is still, like, a lot. But there is, I feel like the balance is stronger. I think the comedy works better. Other than Rock. I think Rock's comedy in the first book is still great. But yeah. I think that there is more... The world feels like it is being brushed with more colors in this book. Mm-hmm. And I really do... I like that. I think there's a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris Rapper says, Nerdy's on the side of the people that started a war that might bring back the Voidbringers, whatever the heck they are. No, they started a war to not bring back the Voidbringers.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm not really on anybody's side. I don't care about the larger picture right now, honestly.
Because we can't see it.
Yeah.
We don't know how the pieces fit together yet.
I know that we have to trick Odium into choosing a champion. That means fucking nothing to me. It just doesn't, right? I don't give a fuck about Odium, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm excited to keep reading. I like the book. I am way more in now. I was a little worried in book 1.
Sure.
I was like, if it kind of keeps at this pace, I don't know that I'm going to want to do but like we talked for 4 hours today, and I feel like I have more to say. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I'm very invested now in a way that I never felt in book 1.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Until maybe right at the end, but yeah.
Sure, yeah, when it felt like the gears were turning.
I often found book 1 to be exhausting.
Yeah, because Kaladin was depressed as shit and everything sucked.
Well, and I didn't really care about Shallan's plotline, and Dalinar was just confused.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. Is it was like either depressing or it was just kind of confusing, and that was...
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do high-low. Clarus, this is a 4-hour book club. Sorry, y'all. This is where Clara says her high, I say my low, she says her low, I say my high, because we like to compliment sandwich this biche, commiserating over each other's lows, celebrating each other's highs. Clarus, what's your high? No, this is not a new standard. We will be back to under 3 hours next week. I fucking promise you.
Yeah, we guys, 4 hours was a lot.
I'm sorry.
No. It's fine. It's all good.
It's funny because we always say that when I don't like the book, I have more to say, and then I really like the book and I had more to say.
That's fair. But also, like, next week is, like, my birthday, so...
That's true. It is the birthday stream.
Will be longer. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
Should we eat cake and do book club?
Oh, my God. No, you can't have cake.
I could take a break for book club.
But we're taking a break on Monday for the bonfire, so it's like...
I'm not going to have cake.
Oh, okay. Anyways, my high... Huh?
Nothing.
God, there were so many really great moments. But what has brought me the most joy in this section is Pattern. Pattern is my high. I love how Pattern is voiced in the audiobook.
Yeah.
I love how they express themselves. I think it's just...
How different they are from Syl.
Very different and very funny to me. So, Pattern is my high for this section.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is your low?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't really thought of one. That's so hard. Tough. I really like this book so far.
Yeah. I
made jokes about a couple of moments, but no, there's not really there isn't like a real... There wasn't really even a stinker. Like, even like, I wouldn't really say the pacing was a low, because it wasn't.
No, like, things like move.
Because even like the interlude where the old man dies was sad, but that wasn't low. It was really well written.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasnah being dead isn't a low, though. I thought it was good storytelling.
Yeah.
Because if she's dead, great. Way to set the stakes. If she's not dead, it still sets the stakes for Shallan. I think that Shallan... you know what? I think it's that Shallan, we didn't get to spend more time with her on the outs. I think that, like, a little...
On the outs?
Yeah, of her not being the like, high status character in the scenes. She reclaims that so quickly with the slavers that... I would have liked to have seen her have to, like, work through her problems with a little bit less entitlement. I think it would have been good for her character, and I would have enjoyed to see the character struggle with that a little bit more.
All right.
And so her just kind of going from one high-class situation to another high-status situation was the closest thing I would have to a low, but that's pretty, whatever.
I think the closest thing I have to a low is, like, Shallan thinking that, like, destroying the boat through Shadesmar would be easier than just taking out her shard blade and doing it.
I don't know. That's very in line with Shallan's being a dumbass to me, though.
Sure, it's just like it's very silly, but it's the closest thing to a low. I don't really have like a low, like a very low. But what's your high?
I mean, you're talking about a character who accidentally soulcast and then cut her own wrists open to try and convince them that she was attempting suicide, and then was confused why she was in suicide watch. Shallan...
She wasn't confused. She was annoyed.
Well, she was like, why won't they let me go? I'm not going to do it again. And I was like, well, because they don't know that. The high... I don't know. The end. You said. The end of the... Oh, I did say. Yeah, Amaram showing up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Amaram showing up in the way that he did, and at this moment when Kaladin has almost started to trust Dalinar, and has just promised to tell Dalinar that he's a Knights Radiant. The person that took everything from him last time shows up. I think that in terms of conflict... it is the best way to stop the story here. Yeah. Because Kaladin was basically on the verge of just saying it, right? And if you're going to put a roadblock in the way, having it be something that is as emotionally impactful as this rocks. I really like the storytelling of it. I think that it is a great choice, and I'm excited to meet Amaram again. Yeah. You know, it's been a long time. It's been a year. He has this reputation. I'm assuming he recognizes Kaladin, so, like, how do they move forward? It's really interesting to me. Yeah. And I'm on it. I'm cool. It's going to be rough. Yeah. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave me comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is... Risen. I loved her. Yeah. Want more of her. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at nerdynightly. I'm at Claris Polaris. Please leave 5 stars everywhere you can on the internet for this show. We're trying to find new people, and you know what the best way to find new people for a book club is? Make the episodes 4 hours long. Oops. Let's get into some Smut Corner. If you don't do the Smut Corner with us, get the fuck out of here. Claris, where would you add sex into the first part of Words of Radiance?
Well, I think if Risen really wanted to be bolder, she could have gotten naked before she jumped off of the turtle.
Get them titties out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, oh, the king has got titties. I've got titties. We have this in common. You know? Negotiating from a place of commonality is important. Yeah. She's like, I'm going to negotiate this trade, but I'm going to do it naked. The listeners having a fuck form is so funny to me. And the fact that they're just like fucking in the public fountain because they're and they're all just like curvaceous form. As fuck. They get big old titties. Yeah, they get like soft and like plump and just like round and squishy. Like it is very funny to me. I think the biggest problem once Adolin finds out about fuck form is he's gonna leave Shallan for fuck form listeners, right? Well, Adolin wants a harem of big old tittied listeners. Do you think Adolin is a virgin? Yeah, I do. Yeah, he can't keep a woman around long enough to actually have sex with her because they leave him within 48 hours. I think that if Adolin had... If it weren't for the war, Adolin would have fucked in a Lethkar. Oh, he would have gone to a brothel or something, you know what I mean? But I think that because they're on the Shattered Plains, the privacy's not there. I feel like that the opportunity for that has been lessened. He's shy. And he was young when the war started, right? He's been at war this whole time. And so I don't think... I don't think that Adolin has had sex. He might have gotten a hand job at some point, but...
Honestly, yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
If there's a woman that kept around for like 72 hours instead of 48.
But even that, I would say, was probably years ago when he was younger. Honestly, like I think he takes courting a little bit more seriously now that he's in his 20s and
Sure.
he's 22, I think, right?
He's very good at dueling with
But
his
no, he's
sword.
not. He's definitely not having sex. I would be shocked if he was having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Especially
okay.
because they don't have birth
But
control. Like, the chances
Dalinar-
of someone being pregnant, like.
Dalinar and Navani.
But we can't add that.
No, that is happening.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not adding.
Yeah.
They're just fucking.
Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
While Elhokar cries.
It's a safe hand job. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually Adolin's favorite thing. He's like, sex is fine, but like a safe hand job, oof. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, sometimes I sit on my hand so that it feels like a different person. And goodbye. That doesn't actually make any sense to me. I've never done that.
I don't
It's just
know.
a joke that people say that I'm like, does anyone actually do that? Comment down below if you've ever
Bye.
jerked yourself off after making your hand numb.